What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another live stream for you guys, and we're going back to the OG days. The call-in links are open if you want to come on and chat about anything Tottenham of your choice. Come on and have your say. The link is pinned to the top of the live chat right now, so hopefully a few of you will call in and we'll have a bit of a chat, see where it takes us.
Should be a lot to say right now. A lot of things up in the air with Tottenham. A lot of opinions being had. Come on and share yours. Maybe an unpopular opinion, something you thought about, something you want to discuss, or you just want to, you know, get something off your chest. Come and call in.
Yeah. And we are in a European semi-final. We could just talk about that. I mean, we can talk about that for
whatever you want.
Literally, could stay on live stream up until Thursday. We've got a week to go to the European semi-final, people. It's quite unbelievable with all like everything that has gone on. We are a week away from a European semi-final.
Yeah, it's mental. And our first European semi-final since 2019, and only our second one in the Premier League era. People like kind of acting like this is a normal place for Tottenham to be. And to be fair, it should be. We should have had more European semi-finals in that time. No doubt about it. The amount of European campaigns we've kind of bungled in the last 20 years is disgraceful. But the fact of the matter is, this is our second European semi-final in the last in the Premier League era. And we should appreciate that. And look, maybe we could even be on the cusp of a European final. And what a trophy this would be to win if we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a given. Like we've discussed it so many times on the channel, but just like our Europa League history, UEFA Cup history in our lifetime, you know, I'm not talking about back in the 80s. I'm talking about pretty much Martin Jol onwards has been pretty disgraceful ever since we got back into Europe. And the teams that we've gone out to. So that's why we can't take this Bodo Glimt game lightly. I know, like on the face of things, like if I said to you at the beginning of the season we'll be in the Europa League semi-final and we're going to be playing Bodo Glimt in that semi-final, obviously you would be like, wow, you know, that's probably going to be a dead cert to get to the final. But you know, you look deeper into it and you see the teams that we have gone out to. Bodo Glimt are a very good side, and they earn their right to be here. They really have. So it's no given that we get into that final.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that. And whenever you're in a European semi-final, it's never a given because you're playing good teams. Teams have done well to get there. So absolutely, it's not a given we get to that semi-final. We're going to have to earn our place in that semi-final. But there's also no doubt about it. If we don't beat them and we don't go through, it will be embarrassing. There's absolutely no way, the two ways about it. I know Bodo Glimt are fantastic at home and they've done brilliantly to get, and they're a brilliant story, don't get me wrong. And look, they probably feel like it's written for them the way things are going this season, for sure. And the teams they've beaten at their ground by good margins as well is no mean feat, and that you have to be a good team to do it. But with the resources at their disposal, with the size of the team they are, we have to be expected to get through that semi, no doubt about it.
Do you think it does draw comparisons to 2019 in the Champions League? Because if I would have said to you at the beginning of that season we'll be in a Champions League final, we're facing Ajax in that semi-final going into it. I know Ajax obviously beat Real Madrid in the round before, right? But still, we would have gone into that game massive favourites. And, you know, you do count yourself a little bit lucky that the two European semi-finals that we've been in, or Champions League against Ajax and the Europa League against Bodo Glimt. It's quite mad, isn't it?
100%. But I would say, actually, when you looking back at it now, you maybe would have said we were favourites. I think actually going back into it, a lot of people thought Ajax were favourites, considering how they were playing and how we were playing.
Yeah, I thought they thought. Well, you look at it, right? We knocked out Man City. They knocked out Real Madrid. You know?
Yeah, but they battered Madrid. We kind of scraped past City, didn't we?
Yeah.
As much as we were good. No, but I'm just saying, like
both us knocked out probably the two favourites of the tournament at that time.
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously we were a team who were high achieving for a consistent amount of time in the Premier League. Just the way that season was going for us and the way Ajax were playing and the super team they'd kind of built that year, I think as well, the way they they beat us in that first leg, I think for sure they were probably favourites at the time, and the way we turned it around was miraculous. But absolutely, when you think about playing Ajax and Bodo, you couldn't have hoped for two better opponents in the semi-final, for sure.
Got a comment here from Amir. He says, why are we linked with Parker? What a joke. Jose couldn't do it. Conte couldn't do it. Poch couldn't do it. But Parker will? What a travesty. Levy and Enoch need to go. Amir, get your call in, mate. Come and join us on the show, mate. It's been too long since you've called in. So The phone lines are open. Link pinned to the top of the live chat. I want to hear what you have to say on the matter. But just before we get to the call-ins, before anyone does call in, we've got a Tottenham update to bring to you today. And first and foremost, we are going to speaking about Ange Postecoglou, as David Ornstein has been speaking on the Postecoglou situation. And he says, a number of us have been reporting for quite some weeks now that Ange Postecoglou is increasingly likely to depart in the summer and Tottenham make a change in the dugout. That's been reinforced by reports by Matt Law in the Telegraph, Mike Keegan in the Mail, and the writing does appear to be on the wall as a result of a disastrous season domestically by Tottenham standards. They will now still hope to win the Europa League, which would be absolutely massive for them, not just in terms of a trophy, but qualification to the Champions League as well. Those reports point out that he could retain his job if a trophy is lifted. That said, it doesn't guarantee it, and he may go regardless. I think, judging by his comments in a number of the news conferences that has been taking place in recent weeks, he probably knows what's coming. I mean, it's kind of news that we have been speaking about over the past couple of weeks. Do you genuinely believe that if we win the Europa League, that he won't be our manager next season, or do you think he will be here?
I don't like the talk about it, to be honest, because if we're on the cusp of potential European glory, and we're already talking about replacing a manager when everyone should be geared towards winning that trophy and not thinking about replacing him at the end of the season and distractions. I don't like these distractions when, that shouldn't be where the talk is. But unfortunately, given where we are in the league, it's no surprise that these are the discussions. For me personally, I look at the options that we're looking at replacing him with, and I understand if we don't win that Europa League, and obviously we have finished where we are in the league, disgracefully low, then I think a change has to be done, because you just can't survive a season that bad. But if we have won that Europa League, we have got a European trophy through the door, and we have got Champions League, I'm looking at the options. You're like, okay, let's replace the manager who's won this Europa League with like some of these options. And I'm just thinking, what's the point? You might as well just stick with it. And I know everyone's saying, oh, you don't want to be in a Ten Hag situation, blah, blah. But to be fair, they changed it with Ten Hag. And was that a right decision, to be honest? Maybe you could argue keeping Ten Hag was the wrong decision. They should have changed in the summer. And what's it called? They should change in the summer. Maybe they wouldn't be in this position if they did do that. But I'm saying once they made the decision to stick with him, was it right to sack him when they did? Because they've gotten a lot worse since they did sack him. And actually, they weren't even that far off the European spots when they did sack him, albeit they weren't playing very well. So I think, for me, like, are we really going to just sack Postecoglou? Postecoglou after winning a European trophy for some of the names being mentioned. I mean, if there was like a real high class appointment on offer, I think.
Would you consider that high class appointment though?
So, I don't know. Who would I can someone with better pedigree than some of the managers that we're being linked with. I don't know who we're being linked with. Who I'm thinking, all right, we're going to sack a manager who won us the European trophy and got us back in the Champions League for Marco Silva or a Frank, or, I mean, we'll mention it in a minute, Scott, definitely not Scott, someone like a Scott Parker. I think all these appointments, like, is it worth sacking Ange for these guys who we're talking about? If we're talking about maybe the guy Gasperini from Atlanta, or a really ambitious appointment, I know of some rumors about it. I mean, I don't believe it for a second, but there were some rumors about Alonso I saw, which obviously I don't think are going to happen. Or I don't know. Or if you're thinking about
any of these managers would be better than Ange, or could do better than Ange?
Do I think some of these managers could do better? I think some of these managers will finish higher than 17th, but I also think if we stuck with Ange, I'm confident we'll be a lot better next season. I am confident about that, in my opinion, if we did do that. So the question for me isn't, will these managers coming in do better than what we did this season? The question for me is, would these managers coming in do better than what Ange would do next season? That's the question for me.
Yeah, but we don't know, because it's all hypothetical, isn't it?
Well, of course, that's the whole point.
Like, we don't know how Ange is going to do next season, but what we do know is been the worst season on Premier League record this season. And
yes,
he's been worse than any manager that we've had in the Premier League era. That's
right.
That's
but if he wins Europa, but we're talking about in a hypothetical where he wins Europa League.
Yeah,
and then
even if he wins the Europa League, right, which, you know, is still a very big job and hard job to do at this stage. You know, even beating Bodo Glimt, which I fully expect us to do, going to a final, beating Atletico Bilbao in Bilbao, and also going to beat a Manchester United team who know how to get over the line, won trophies in the last couple of seasons, even in their worst moment. Look, that is a very hard thing to do. If he does do that, that in massive credit to him. If he doesn't do that, then you're talking about literally the worst season ever that we've ever had to experience.
I've already said if he doesn't win it, then he'll have to move. He'll have to go.
Yeah, but why are you saying that if you genuinely think that he could do a lot better next season?
Because the job will be completely untenable. The fan base will be baying for blood even more than it is now, and he wouldn't have deserved to stay on. But if he wins that Europa League, it shows that he can bring success, because it would have shown he would have won a trophy. Would have won our first trophy in 16 years, our first European trophy in over 40 years, the biggest, basically one of the biggest trophies we've ever won in our history, and that's not insignificant. Even though we're a club of big size, we're not a club that wins trophies regularly. We're not this club like other clubs where we can just scoff at winning a trophy as if it's no big deal. This is massive for this football club, absolutely massive. And it would also show that despite all the crap we've been through this season and the terrible defeats and all this kind of stuff, despite going all through that, he still comes out with it with a trophy. He still comes out with tangible, real success. And that would show me something. If he doesn't do that, and we go through all this pain basically for nothing, and we can't even, and we don't end up winning that trophy, then we'll have no choice but to make a change, because you can't go for a season with no trophies and also finishing where we are in the league with one of the worst seasons. But if he does come out with a major European trophy, which is not insignificant. You can't just, people can't just scrap over that. Then I'm not saying he definitely stays. I'm just thinking there's a very good case that he should keep his job ahead of some of these other managers who I'm not massively thinking, I'm not desperate to sack Ange over, essentially.
I agree with, to a certain extent, in terms of, look, you definitely can't just gloss over it. And obviously it's going to be the biggest day in our Spurs supporting lifetimes. Definitely, if we go and win that tournament, 100%. But if it does come to that and we win the trophy, and on top of that we have the worst Premier League campaign that we've had in our lifetimes, it's like, it's how only at Spurs this can happen in the same season. We can have the worst and the best moments in our Spurs supporting lifetime. But like,
this is a conversation we've had over years, isn't it? When we want trophies, we want top four, we want trophies. I know you haven't said it personally, but some fans saying, I would finish 17th in a trophy. That's all I want. And now that's being put to the test, isn't it?
It is being put to the test. And still, for me, like, if he goes and wins it, fair play, credit to him. We owe him a lot for doing that, 100%. And he can walk out with his head held high. But I would still move on from him at the end of the season, because I just can't look past this current Premier League campaign that we've had. And I feel like that is what you're really going to be judged on. You're going to be judged, that is where you're at as a team and how well you're actually doing, is the Premier League campaign. And if you finish 16th, 17th, 15th, whatever, I just don't see how you can stay at a job even if you do win a trophy.
That's fine, and I don't disagree with you, but if the managers who are being talked about right now are the ones that we're talking about replacing him with, I would stick with Ange personally. If we are talking about someone with a higher caliber who's maybe used to Champions League football, all these managers, have they ever managed in the Champions League? I know Ange hasn't, but he's earned the right to get there because he's won the Europa League.
Glasner has, hasn't he?
Has Glasner managed in the Champions League?
Well, he won Europa League.
He won Europa League. Then he won. That's right. So he won Europa League.
Didn't
and
we play him in the Champions League?
We played them, and I think they went out in the groups that year. Look, Glasner maybe he would be one of the only ones, but I'm not like. It's not like I'm fawning over him, but I do like him. I think he's a great manager, and I think maybe he would be one of the ones I'd go for. But I'm saying, like, these other guys like Iraola and Silva and Frank, I'm not like massively convinced. Like, if we were to replace Ange with them, like they would definitely do a better job if we were in the Champions League. I'm just not massively convinced.
Let's talk about this Mike Keegan article in the Daily Mail. He says that Scott Parker has admirers at Spurs. Bournemouth for Andoni Iraola, Fulham with Marco Silva, and Scott Parker, all potential candidates succeed Ange Postecoglou, who is expected to leave this summer. Others likely to follow Scott Munn out the door after review into reasons Spurs' underperformance carried out. Various departments within football operations are under the microscope, and a series of changes are expected across areas as the medical, sports science, and analytics. There is a belief that the season has not been good enough across the board, and that responsibility for that lies not just on the head coach, as nobody is safe, said one insider with knowledge of the situation. First of all, Scott Parker, let's talk about him first, because Scott Parker, obviously, has had a great season in the Championship this year with Burnley. I think they've conceded something silly like 15 goals all season. But I think we've seen this so many times with Scott Parker, haven't we? Like, has an unbelievable season in the Championship and then comes into the Premier League and does really bad.
Is it his third promotion?
I think it's his third. So he's done Fulham, Bournemouth, and now Burnley.
And Bournemouth, he resigned, didn't he? A few weeks into the season.
After he left.
Yeah. Just after losing 9-0, I think he resigned. Or maybe I can't remember if that was him. But anyway, he resigned very quickly because he was complaining about the transfer activity. Fulham, he got relegated with a pretty... You look at that Fulham team he got relegated with and where they are now. He got relegated with a pretty good Fulham team.
Was that his first job, the Fulham one?
Can't remember.
Must have been.
Very quiet. It was fairly early on, but he did get relegated. You look at that Fulham team; it was a pretty good Fulham team. They're all like doing quite well. All those players that he had, and he got relegated with that team. He went to Club Brugge. Don't think it went particularly well at Club Brugge, to be honest. And now he's at Burnley. Fair play. Got Burnley promoted with a brilliant defensive record, but the thought of putting him in charge of Tottenham.
It's too soon for him,
scares me for sure. Massively scares. He hasn't proven anything in the Premier League.
He needs to prove himself in the Premier League before we take him on, that's for sure. But I know he was a coach at Spurs for some time, and there's always like kind of highly rated as a coach. Obviously club captain at a time as well, with really good leadership ability, and I think he can be a good manager one day, but I just don't think he's there just yet.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he's ever going to be Tottenham manager. Good enough to be Tottenham manager. Maybe one day, but he hasn't. No, right now, there's nothing to suggest he's good enough to get Tottenham to be challenging for top 6 or wherever we want to be. There's nothing to suggest that.
Yeah, and on the situation with Scott Munn, and nobody is safe at Tottenham right now.
Hunger Games.
I feel like we hear about this like every summer with Spurs. Like nobody's safe. Scott Munn was the one that came in and revamp the medical and the sports science and stuff. I mean, that in itself is probably a sackable offence.
Yeah, considering the problems we've had this season from medical department has been absolute shambles. We should do a Tottenham Squid Games with all the staff. That's what we should do, and that's how we should whittle it down. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they acknowledged that there's been multiple failures, because I think we've all seen that throughout the season, and I know there's been obviously after Conte left, there was a big, PR thing about change and bring in people like Scott Munn and going in a different direction how we were operating. Now, I guess if you're the Tottenham board, you would argue, well, those things they take time to implement, they take time to see. You don't just change all these things and everything, the results change overnight. But obviously, it's been a couple years, 18 months to a couple years now since all those changes, and we're on course to have our worst ever Premier League season. So when you're looking at that, you can't exactly go and say, well, those changes are looking good at the moment, of course. So I understand the panic, and I understand they want to rip everything up and start yet again. But the worry for that is if you do believe these things do take time to implement and change, and you're not going to see the fruits of that labor, in the short term, and it's going to be a long-term thing, then either you have no belief in what you were doing in the first place, or you've majorly screwed up and you think you've totally gone in the wrong direction and you need to go in a different direction, or you should just go through this pain, stick with what you're doing, and hope for that long-term benefit. Because what would happen is, let's say they go in a completely new direction again with all these different things like Scott Munn, whatever, they've signed, they've brought in V9, whatever, they bring a new medical team. What happens if next season, right, they're working out all the problems that we have, and they're trying to fix them, and they can't fix them within a year, and we have another disastrous season? Are they going to go another new direction the year Probably. After? That's the problem. At some point you have to stick with something. I'm not sitting here saying you have to stick with what they're doing, because I don't know exactly the specifics of the ins and outs. All I know is you can't keep just ripping everything up every couple years, if in the hope of you're going to stumble across something that works. While at some point you do have to stick with something, and I'm not saying this is what to stick with. Maybe they have got it all completely wrong, and they do need to rip it up. But I'm just saying. There's a worry that they could rip up again, and then maybe in 2 years' time, we haven't seen the massive improvement that they're hoping for, and they rip up again.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's one thing, things going wrong and us finishing like 8th or 9th or 7th even, or, you know what I mean? But there's one thing finishing 16th or 17th. Like, that just can't be on, and there has to be some consequences for that. There has to be. And I think this is what it's going to look like. Another manager that has been linked to Spurs by a German publication called Bild, they say that Tottenham have already inquired about the possibility of taking Borussia Dortmund coach Niko Kovac. Despite the 53-year-old only being appointed in January, Kovac has managed to turn things around at Dortmund in a short time that he's been in charge there, helping them challenge for the Champions League after a poor start to the season. This has helped raise the Croatian's reputation at Tottenham, with the report suggesting that they're keeping a close eye on him for the remainder of the season. I mean, Dortmund had a disastrous start to the Bundesliga first half of the season. He has come in, and I think he's had a massive improvement there.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember. Yeah, he was the manager when Bayern beat us 7-2, I think it was. But I remember he got sacked very quickly after that. He didn't do a great job at Bayern, but obviously he must have got the Bayern job because he did quite a good job before that.
At Frankfurt.
He was at Frankfurt. Looks like he was a Croatian manager. He did fairly decent, was only in charge of 20 games. But he did do all right. 20 games, 10 wins, 5 draws. He was a Monaco manager for quite a while. Did a fairly decent job, it seems, there. Seems as though he didn't do a fantastic job at Wolfsburg. 66 games, 23 wins and 26 defeats. So didn't do a particularly great job. But then at Dortmund, he's only been in charge of 16 games. You can't exactly take massive I wouldn't hire him based off that. 16 games, 8 wins and 5 losses. I wouldn't say, we must get him, but off the back of that specific job. Clearly, he's a guy with a long managerial career, but when he's had his top job, he didn't particularly go great.
Yeah.
So
it's not one that excites me, to be honest. And I think with him only being appointed in January, I just can't see this one even being close to happening.
No.
Anyway, let's talk about Mathys Tel now. Kicker out in Germany says that Bayern Munich are understood to be willing to negotiate with Tottenham for forward Mathys Tel for well under 50 million euros option to buy, and hoping for an agreement to be reached. And Christian Falk also says that Tottenham are unlikely to exercise the option to buy for Mathys Tel, and hoping that they can come to some sort of agreement with Bayern Munich. Again, this just worries me a little bit that, you know, you're hearing reports that Bayern are willing to settle for well under 50 million for someone like Mathys Tel. Like, it feels like they're just trying to get him out the door as quickly as possible, and they don't even care about getting the maximum amount of money for him. Something just doesn't sit right for me with this.
They let go of Gravenberg, didn't they, after a season? And look what he's doing at Liverpool. So just because they want him out doesn't mean he's a bad player or it's a bad decision. I don't know what's happened with Tel and Bayern. All I've seen the reports that Kompany for some reason doesn't see a future with him with the club. I don't know why that is, but all we can do is judge on what we're seeing. I think he's improving. Has he shown to be at the moment a £50 million winger in his few games he's had at Tottenham? Probably not, I would say. I think that's fair to say. I wouldn't say I've seen 50 million's worth of talent just yet. Throughout his career, is there potentially a 50 million plus winger in there for sure? I think you could, from the potential we've seen of him over his career. But at Tottenham, I think we still haven't seen his best, and we still haven't seen him hit anything other than decent performances. Played pretty well against Forest, but obviously he's got between now and the end of the season to kind of impress. But I think if we're able to renegotiate that fee, and if it's well below 50 million, I'll definitely go for it. I think there's a potential fantastic talent there who's versatile, who I think a lot of managers could do a lot with, and he's still very, very young for what he's shown at his age. There are not that many players of his age that have shown what he's shown in top leagues, and have got them that many minutes behind him. So I think it would be stupid not to, if he's available to renegotiate that fee, to go for it, I think.
Yeah, I think if we could do a deal for 20 million, I think I would do that. But then you are looking at you know, it's a massive, massive transfer for us to make because we're looking for Sonny's successor. This is what this is. And we need to get this one right. And we need to get someone that can kind of fulfill the potential that and the void that Sonny's going to leave at this football club, because I don't see Sonny being here past probably next season. We've got the likes of Mikey Moore here. We've got Odebear here. We've got very young wingers. And I feel like we need someone that is going to produce for us straight away, week in, week out. And I'm just not sure if Tell is that guy. And if we do sign Tell, is there a space in the squad for us to sign another winger?
If we sign Tell, is there space in the squad for us to sign another winger? Not without limiting someone like Moore, probably.
Because that's what I'm saying. If we're signing Tell, that's basically us saying those are the wingers that we're going to go into next season with. And is that good enough?
Or Johnson, Odebear, Tell, and Son.
And more.
If I'm comparing it to other people's wingers in the league, I think you'd probably want one more high caliber one in there. Probably on the right, though. That'd probably mean moving on someone like Johnson, unless you want to get rid of Odebear, which I don't think so. So, yeah, I think potentially it could be. But I think right now, as going into next season, I don't think I could confidently
let's say we get Champions
enough.
League football. Are you confident that we can be decent in that competition with those wing options? I'm not so sure.
Well, if Tell and Odebear can fulfill them, protect their potential, then yeah. But it's all about, it's a question mark. Obviously, we're not going in there with a Saka or a Kavisha or a Salah who's been there and done. Obviously, we'll have Sonny. It depends. Maybe if it's a different manager, maybe we'll see a better Sonny potentially next season. If that's the case, then potentially those wingers could be good enough. But if it's the same manager and he's going to play Son the same way, then there's definitely a big question mark about it. But I don't sit here say definitely not, because maybe if we could see a much better Tell. Also, Odebear's not going to be out for the whole season like he's pretty much been this season.
You'd hope anyway.
You'd hope. But, hopefully he can stay fit, and he's shown what he can do when he's been on the pitch. And hopefully a whole season of that will be much better. Johnson's been our top goal scorer. So I don't think these are bad. I don't look at that and think, oh, God, what terrible options. I think those are good winger options. But I don't think it's good enough.
You've got aspirations to get into the top four, right? And I just don't think next season that's like a top four caliber kind of, winger.
Could be,
options. I think it's below that. And I think in the future, looking at the future, I think they can grow into that for sure. But right here, right now, I don't think so.
Yeah, but Forest are doing it with Alanga and Hudson-Odoi. Like, they're good players, don't get me wrong. Before the season, you wouldn't have said those are top four caliber wingers. It depends about if you can get the best out of them.
Yeah. Fair enough. But I think Forest have something else going for them, and that's like the defensive structure with Milinkovic and Murillo, and they sit very deep and they just spring on them in the counter-attack. That's not what we do. We have a clear emphasis on our attacking players, and we need them to be better.
But maybe a year of growth of Tell and Odebear, and they could be better. Maybe we could see more out of them.
Let's talk about specific players. Graham Bailey says that Jared Bowen holds some concerns about West Ham under Graham Potter, and Tottenham are closely monitoring the situation. I'm sure we are, mate. I'm sure we are closely monitoring it, but he's got a contract until 2030. And first of all, if he even considers coming to Tottenham, his
taking his life in his own hands.
But pretty much, not only from the West Ham fans, not only from everyone at West Ham, but from his own family. His father-in-law will not let that fly, will he?
And I don't think West Ham would sell to us. Also, if he is for sale, there's going to be a queue of clubs, top clubs, in for him. The likes of I'm not even talking about Liverpool and Arsenal, who I probably would be interested anyway. But I'm talking about even like the likes of Newcastle, Villa, all these clubs, Forest even probably. They would all be interested in him. And I just don't see him wanting to ruin his reputation at West Ham going to Tottenham. So I think he would be perfect for like a Newcastle. Imagine a front three of Gordon, Isaac, and Bowen. Like, just be unbelievable.
I'd love to see Bowen at Spurs, to be fair.
I would love it. I think it'd be perfect for us as well, because, him and Johnson on the right, good options there. I just can't see him coming to Tottenham by any stretch.
Yeah, me neither. It would be nice shithousery, though, if we could get him.
Well, I mean, we've done it before with Defoe.
Yeah,
but that was the last time. That was the last time. Yeah,
Defoe and Carrick were
there'll be protests every get. Like, they're never going to allow it to happen. They'll never allow it to happen.
Another one is saying that Tottenham would be interested in signing Marcus Rashford this summer if Villa decide against making the loan move permanent. I mean, I've been hearing stuff about Marcus Rashford saying he's even considering going back to Man United. He's keeping all his options open and for next season. I think he's desperate for that move to Barcelona, which is doing the rounds in the press. I don't think he'll end up at Barcelona. But, you know, the wages are always going to be the sticking point with Spurs. He's on like 350k a week. And I don't know. I feel like he could end up staying at Villa, to be honest. I think he fits them quite well.
Judging by what you've seen, because when we were linked with him in January, you were dead set against it. But judging what you've seen at Villa... I wasn't
dead set against it.
You were?
You
said it'd be another Sancho or something? I can't remember what you said.
No, I wasn't. I was saying on a 6-month loan deal, I think we should do it. That's what I said. And from what I've seen... I think it'd be a smart signing, to be honest, for Spurs. I think he's done well for Villa. I don't think he's got maybe the goal contributions regularly that maybe his performances deserve or suggest, but he's always a threat in every game. He literally seems to be a threat every single game.
He seems like he's got a weight lifted off his shoulders. He's playing like a new player. He's like maybe getting away from United and all that pressure of being, you know, their star boy and being their main man and being in Manchester, where he's, you know, is always followed by the press and everything. And maybe it's just different in Birmingham and Villa, where he's less of a... Obviously, he's a star name, but he's less of all this pressure about being the guy everyone's got their hopes on and everything. And every little thing is scrutinised when he's at Man United, whereas Villa's probably looks like a different. Also, you know, when he's on the bench, it's not a big story. It's like just whatever. He's on the bench for a game, and United, it's just very different. So you can just see the weights being lifted off his shoulders.
Forget Rashford though. I don't think it's a hope and hell for us to get Rashford with the wages that he's on. We should be going for Watkins.
I'll take Watkins for sure.
We should go for Watkins.
I'll take Watkins.
Why not? Why?
Sell Richie and get Watkins.
Yeah, like why wouldn't we be able to go for Watkins? Because I don't think he's going to be going to Arsenal now. So like, where's Watkins going to go? Unless like Liverpool try and get him, I think we should be in a good place to get him.
Well, depending how much they want, they probably want 50 million. Sorry, 60 million. I mean, I think it's worth it. And Solanke.
I think he's better than Solanke.
Yeah, for sure. I think so as well. I think them two competing for a spot would be a great situation.
Next up, we're going to talk about a player called Mario Gila. Court Offside says that Man City, Tottenham, Bayern, PSG and Real Madrid all interested in signing Lazio defender Mario Gila. The 24-year-old has a €45 million price tag. I mean, when you see the names Man City, Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid... And then Tottenham. I don't think we have a hope in hell, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, what is he? A right back? No, centre back. Centre back. We're probably going to need a centre back in the summer. So maybe if we get a good price for Romero, and we can stump the others on if we're more serious about him being starters than the other teams. But look, if that article is genuine, then it doesn't sound like we got much of a chance, but you never know.
Yeah, but another centre-back that we're linked with is Jan Bissek of Inter Milan, as Rudy Galletti says that Tottenham are competing with 3 Premier League clubs who are Everton, West Ham and Bournemouth to sign Inter Milan centre-back Jan Bissek, who will be available for the right price in the summer.
Yeah, I think Bissek would be a very interesting prospect.
I don't know much about him.
Yeah, he's been very good for Milan into this season. He started quite a few games, and he's a big guy, 6'4". But the thing is, he's playing regularly into Milan. Why would he jump ship to come to Tottenham? I mean, I guess you could argue, Premier League, the money, that's where the money is. And even though he's at a top club in Milan, challenging for titles and Champions Leagues potentially, the money at the Premier League is just where it's at. And even a club like Tottenham could prize him away. But I don't see him being in a rush to come to Spurs.
But the 3 teams linked with him are Everton, West Ham and Bournemouth. Why not any bigger clubs being linked with him?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know how reliable that journalist is. Rudy Galletti's a bit hit and miss, isn't he? But look, he's been quite good for Milan. I know he's started like over 20 games this season for Inter, but they play a back 3 obviously, but he's been pretty good for them.
And last but not least, Give Me Sport are saying that Tottenham are keeping a close eye on Archie Gray's little brother, Harry Gray, 16-year-old striker, just made his debut for Leeds last weekend, and obviously they've just been promoted to the Premier League. And it's understood that Tottenham have sent scouts at several of Harry's matches this season, and there's a growing feeling within the club that they could look to prize him away from his boyhood club very, very soon. So, And Archie's probably the scout that they've been sending.
Exactly. Agent Archie. Get him in, get the Gray brothers in there, and they'll rule Spurs for the foreseeable.
Yeah, do you remember when we did sign Archie Gray? We had that Leeds fan on, and we were talking about Archie, and he was like, "Whatever you do, leave Harry alone."
We're gonna have the back line, we're gonna have the midfield and the strike force sorted. We just need a Gray in defence, and then it's all good.
Yeah. But look, that is your Tottenham update. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we've broken to you today. And let's get into a super chat from Reese Powell saying, how would you feel if Arsenal won the Champions League but Spurs won the Europa League? I mean, for me, it would make me sick to see Arsenal lift that Champions League, but I would take the sickness to see Spurs win the Europa League.
At least it'll be 3-1 on a European trophy still.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we've got to cling on to.
And you know what? It will all make it better once we stuff them in the Super Cup.
Exactly. We'll make it worth it.
Well, that would be quite something, though. Spurs, Arsenal, North London derby in the Super Cup in August.
That would be something. That would
in
be
Italy, I think Udinese Stadium.
It'll probably be the Super Cup with one of the most stakes on it ever.
Yeah, 100%. Does anyone actually watch like Super Cup?
I don't remember who played in the Super Cup last year. Was it?
It was Real Madrid,
Atalanta.
Yeah, Real Madrid, Atalanta. The year before was.
I don't even remember who won it. I'm guessing Madrid. I don't remember the game at all.
There should be more stakes on the Super Cup because it seems like the winners of the Europa League and the Champions League should be a really
a charity
good game.
shield, basically.
Yeah, but you win a trophy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, it's a trophy.
Do people consider that as a trophy? Because the charity shield, they don't.
Yeah, it's more of a trophy than the charity shield, I think, like in terms of prestige and stuff. But it's not like the most prestigious trophy, but it's still, I think it is still considered a major trophy, I think.
All right. I think some people did call in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Who have we got up first? Alex.
Oh, let's get Alex on.
How you doing, Alex, mate?
Hi guys, I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my friend. What do you want to speak about today?
Many things really, but firstly, just wanted to say it's my first time calling. Big fan of you guys. Been watching you guys since COVID when I was lonely, stuck at home, and you guys really were a comfort for me in that time, and I've been watching you since then. So absolutely love the channel.
Thank you so much. Why is it taking you so long to call in?
Honestly, bit shy and just live a busy life. I'm not always around when you guys are doing the live streams, but today I'm around, so I thought, why not jump on?
Here we are.
Well, welcome to the show. Good to have you, my friend.
Guys, cheers.
And what do you want to talk about today?
Why don't we start with Ange? The big debate.
Which camp are you in?
I tell you what, I have been all season long Ange up until very, very recently, because when we were at our best and we had all our players fit, the football we were playing was honestly amazing, and it was great to see. But my whole thing was, let's just wait till the players are back and see what he can do with the full squad. But the last few weeks, honestly, I just can't take it anymore. We've got the players back, and we're losing to Wolves. We were pathetic against Chelsea. I mean, I've just swung. I just don't think it's sustainable to have him. I would have liked him to adapt more when the players were injured. You can't play attacking football all the time, and we could have picked up more points, I think. So honestly, for me, I have to say he should go now, unfortunately, even though I really wanted it to work.
Would you still feel that way if we were to win the Europa League?
It's a tough one. Obviously, I think if he wins, I think it's likely that he might stay, just because of the feel-good factor that would bring. And obviously, it would be amazing to win. Do I think it would be the right thing? I'm not sure, because just because of the way we've been, I don't think he's adapting enough. He has one style of play, and regardless of which players he has available, he plays that way. And I think a proper world-class manager would adapt when you've got, just kids on the pitch. So I don't think he's the right guy, even if we do win the Europa League. Do I think he should stay if we win? Probably, but he'll probably end up getting sacked.
But in terms of not being able to adapt, against Frankfurt away, we weren't playing just a swashbuckling attacking football, and we got through, didn't we?
Yeah, that was the least. Sorry.
No, as I'm saying, was that not on showing if we were to go through this tournament and win the whole thing, and let's say we play a similar way against Bilbao in the final, adapting and winning, would that not show a way that he can adapt, he can bring success? Would that not prove it?
It would, but what I would say to that is like the Frankfurt second leg was probably the least Ange Postecoglou performance we've seen, and it's what we needed. We got the job done. This guy's what? How old is he? He's in his 60s, right?
Yeah, I think it's 59, 60. Yeah.
If it's taken him that long to finally adapt, and let's say we do adapt against Bodo if we need to, and in the final and win it, is that sustainable? Is that actually him changing, or is it just a temporary thing and he's going to go back to what he always does?
Well, you say that it's taken him this long to adapt in terms of age-wise, but throughout his whole career, he's always had different kind of formations. It's not like he's had one way of playing throughout his whole career. We're just got him at this stage of his career where this is how he's playing, and throughout the season. I know people accuse him of not adapting. I would agree with the criticism that maybe he's not very good at adapting, because I do think he has adapted. It just hasn't worked, and I think his adaptations have not been great. But obviously, against Frankfurt, he did adapt, and we got through a massive, probably our biggest game of the season. We got through. I do think, by and large, when we've had Romero and Van de Ven since the injuries come back, have actually been haven't been terrible.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, if he gets through this tournament and wins it, our first major European trophy in 40 years, would that not show something that he can bring success in? Because he would have brought it.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to be Ange. I've almost been in your camp the whole time, Sim. I really want to be Ange, but the last few weeks, something's just switched for me, and I still think I could be swayed if he does change the style a little bit and does bring success. But I just don't know if he's too stubborn or not. I don't know. I don't think he's that guy who would bring us long-term success. I think what he's done is amazing. He's changed the vibes at the club. Like, I didn't enjoy watching Tottenham at all for the 2 years before he came. I would honestly sometimes not even watch the games, or just I was apathetic to it because the play was boring. So I think he's changed that, and he's brought in some really good youth. So that is good aspects that he has. But I just don't know if he's it depends what we want, right? If we want to just be a nice, often qualifying for Europe club, then fine, maybe he could do that. But if we want to take that next step, like, for example, Arsenal have done, unfortunately, in the last, few years, I don't think he's the guy for that.
What kind of manager, have we been linked with any manager that kind of tickles your fancy, that thing that they can do a better job than Ange Postecoglou? Or is there any other manager that you're looking at?
For me, the big one that we were linked to in the past was Nagelsmann. I really like him. I think Glasner is potentially up there as well. But truth be told, similar to what people have said on the channel before, I think as long as Levy and ENIC are in charge, I don't think any manager is going to succeed succeed in getting us into that top bracket, just because they don't provide what you need. You can't go into a season like we did this season with 3 recognized centre backs in your squad and be a serious club. Like, you can't do. Maybe you put Ben Davies in there and you say it's 4, but really he's not a proper centre back. So you just can't do that if you're a serious club. You can't have Brennan Johnson as your starting right winger. No shade to him. I think he's been pretty good this season, but he's not the starting right winger of a top club. And we just don't go that extra level and get that top player that we need. So any manager we get in, unfortunately, I just don't think is gonna do it while ENIC is still here.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, isn't it? Because you're looking at when Mourinho was manager and when Conte was manager, we were just crying out for top defenders to come into the club. And now we've got a manager who's very emphasised on the attack, and we're just crying out for top players in the forward line.
But is this discussion just redundant then? If we're coming here saying Ange, doesn't adapt, doesn't do anything, we need to change the manager, then we ask, okay, who are we going to change it to? Oh, no manager can ever do anything at this club. So what's the point of the conversation about changing if no manager can do anything?
It's pretty true, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's valid as well. But then, what's the point of supporting Spurs?
Yeah, I know. But you're coming here. But the discussion about Ange in, Ange out. We need if the point is we need to change manager because this manager isn't good enough. But then the alternative is, well, no manager is good enough. Surely you have to come up with an alternative you think will do a better job than Ange.
I do think, for example, Nagelsmann and Glasner could potentially do a better job than Ange. There's no guarantee under the structure, but what is pretty guaranteed is that Ange could not take us that one level up that we need. I mean, to be honest, I'm not necessarily Ange in or Ange out. I'm a bit ambivalent at this point. But yeah, I take your point. It's a good point.
Yeah, but the reality is right. Is the question isn't a manager right now to take us to the top level, because I don't think that's possible right now, and I think under Enoch and Daniel Levy that's probably never going to be the case. The question is can a manager get us fighting for the European positions again, top 4, top 5?
I think he can.
There may be. I don't know. I think Ange has shown that he could do it last year, but this year has just been so bad. I mean, the league form is a sackable offence in its own.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't want to agree, but I do have to agree. Who do you guys think is would be our player of the season?
Oh God, we've been speaking about this over the last couple of days. I mean, for me, I think it probably would be Bergvall. I think Kulusevski went off the boil a bit at the beginning, then he got injured. Only just come back now. I think Lucas Bergvall is the one that's like, since he's like got on form, he's just stayed consistent all the way through, and he's just getting better and better, this guy. I've fallen in love with Lucas Bergvall. Yeah,
me too. What he's done has been absolutely incredible. He was 18 at the start of the season, he's 19 now. He's basically our best player every game now. It's ridiculous. When he'd been playing in Sweden beforehand. It's not even like he was at a slightly lower quality league before this. He was whatever, no shade to the Swedish league, but it's not even a third tier league probably. But what he's done has been insane, and I think it speaks to the mentality that he has. I don't think he gets enough credit outside of Spurs, to be honest. But I'm happy with that way. Yeah, I'm happy. I keep him under the radar because it's ridiculous. We need to tie him down to a new contract ASAP. And that's what. Sorry, go
on. That's what
I was going to say. That's one thing that does frustrate me. I mean, for what it's worth, he would be my player of the season as well. But what frustrates me about the way we run our club is we don't do future planning enough. Like, what I really admire about Liverpool is, for example, obviously they've probably got more money than us, but they tie down their players to long-term contracts. Obviously, this season they've had a bit of a mare, but in past seasons they've done that, and they also sign the replacement of the player who's aging before they need to. So they had signed Diaz before they sold Mane, for example, and we would never do that. And I just think, we need to start acting like a proper club.
Well, having said that, where do you stand on Tell then, when you're looking about replacing Son?
Yeah, it's a great question. I really like him, actually. I think his progression, when he first arrived, I was super excited. He was a bit dodgy in his first couple of performances, but you have to remember he hadn't played a lot for Bayern this season. I think what impresses me the most is the attitude I've seen from him in games. He's the one, it happened against Frankfurt, he was the one saying, give me the ball, I'm going to take it, I'm going to beat a man and I'm going to shoot, or I'm going to cross it in. And that, I think, is super important. Like that, he has that attitude. We have to remember he's 19. Obviously, because he comes from Bayern, people expect him to be the finished article already, but he's 19 years old. That's really impressive. So I like him. I think he could be potentially the long-term replacement to Son. I do think 50 million is toppy for him at this stage. But I was looking just before coming on, actually, and Bayern signed him, I think, 3 years ago for 28 million euros when he was 16.
Yeah.
Which is insane when you think about it. But if we know the way clubs work, right, they're probably going to want to get at least 10 to 15 million profit on that. So I don't think we can sign him really for less than 40 million euros.
So if I said to you right here, right now, that's the price, are you signing him tomorrow? What would you say?
If we were an elite club, what we should do is do that, because I think he will be the long-term replacement for Son. I think he's capable. We should probably sell Romero now when he's at max value with his contract with 2 years left. That's only going downhill. And use the extra cash from that to sign another centre-back. I think that would be two good moves for us.
Well, let's hope that we actually make the good moves that we desperately need this summer. But Alex, awesome, cool. Thank you for calling in today, my friend.
Thanks, Alex.
Really good to speak to you. See you guys.
Always. Big up to Alex. Let's go on to our next guest, Farhad. How you doing, Farhad?
Well, hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Classic week of supporting Spurs, I'd say. What about you guys? How have you guys been?
Yeah, not bad. The sun is shining here in London. A week to go till the European semi-final, and Arsenal can mathematically probably not win the league this weekend as well. So a few things to smile about.
Yeah, wouldn't it be classic Spurs for us to go and beat Liverpool at Anfield for the first time in God knows how long?
It would be, but you know what? I'll take
Or
it.
like get a result.
I would love it. I'd love to see it, to be honest, even though, Arsenal fans will probably be like, oh, you're doing us a favour. We're not doing them no favours. It's one more point Liverpool need to get to win the title. They got 5 games to do it in. I'm not worried.
I think Liverpool could play their kids and they'd still win the league at this point. So I don't think it makes a difference either way. I mean, it would be nice to win at Anfield. Not that it means anything, but I think to kind of rack up the big wins of the season, we beat Man City twice, we beat United 3 times, and then to beat Liverpool away from home would be quite nice, but it would probably flatter us in terms of how bad we've been in the league overall.
Yeah, we're just missing that Arsenal win. We need to bloody beat Arsenal.
Yeah,
that's the one that's really annoying me.
Hey, there's a preseason friendly coming up soon, so maybe in Hong Kong, we might be
maybe in the Super Cup.
On them. Oh yeah, maybe that one. Although I know you said that you'd take, to be fair, I would also probably take them winning a Champions League if that meant we lifted the Europa League at this point, even though it would completely suck. I think we just need to focus on ourselves. However, I would say that it would be unbearable. I think if we finished in a respect position in the league, let's say we finished 5th and won the Europa League and then they won the Champions League, I think it would be bad, but we could probably handle it. But 16 and Europa League, I think if they won the Champions League, they would be insufferable.
Yeah.
So
well, if they won the Champions League, if they won the Champions League and we didn't win the Europa League, oh god!
I'm getting a new passport. I'm gone.
If they win the Champions League. If they win the Champions League, Farhad, and we win the Europa League, I think all Spurs fans just need to create some sort of underground bunker and just all celebrate together and just not think about what's going on the outside.
Yeah, pretty much. The stadium would be empty, but we'd probably be sending a better message.
If we won Europa League, we would have 10 days before that final, right?
Is it 10 days? Does it not happen on the weekend after the final?
No, because it's Premier League final.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm guessing it'll be 10 days.
10 days of bliss.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll have to get all our links in those 10 days. We'll have to go all out for those 10 days just in case if anything happens.
And then we'll all be buying Barcelona shirts or whatever.
PSG has to do us a favor. They just have to. I would never supported PSG as much as I'm going to for the next probably 1 month or so, whenever the game is.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Farhan, is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the current fan base situation regarding the manager, in terms of where I am with Ange myself, and I've called in a few times over the last few months, and I've always kind of been somewhat consistent saying that Ange has his flaws, but I'm Ange in. Right now I don't know which side of the fence I kind of sit on. In terms of our league form, it's been nothing short of appalling. I genuinely even with the injury crisis, there are certain games that I do think are on Ange completely, and there are other games where I think it's been down to us being wasteful. For example, I think the Forest game, Ange coached the win, and some people might disagree with me, but in my opinion, we played really well. And it really came down to some individual mistakes that cost us. Vicario, what is he doing for that second goal? There's no excuse for that. I love Vicario, but it was a bad mistake. And I just think that, certain games like that, I can't hold him accountable for. What I can hold him accountable for is, losing to Leicester at home, losing to Ipswich at home. And, those are big kind of blights on his kind of Tottenham career. What I will say though is we're in a Europa League semifinal. This is as close to winning any silverware as we're gonna get this season, and maybe even next season. Like, let's say we get knocked out. We know. Do we have any confidence we're gonna do well in the domestic cup next season? Probably not, right? Like, I dread to think what this summer is going to look like if we finish 16th with no European football. Like, what player are we attracting? I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. Like, that's why, and this is what I'm gonna say, and some people might not like it. I think we need to fully just blindly back our team for the next 2 weeks or whatever, semifinal and beyond, because the Premier League is done. It's over. Like, we could win every single game from now until the end of the season. We finish 10th, 11th. Like, does it really mean anything? Maybe pride, but at the end of the day, the Premier League season, we as Spurs fans know what happened this season, and nothing can change that, even if we ended the season well. What can go down in history and change the course of how we maybe look at the season is if we win this Europa League. And for me, after every single game, it feels like, we win in the Europa League, everyone's like, okay, we're going to have a back team now. And then we lose in the Premier League, and everyone's like, oh, Ange has to go, and we're looking at the next manager, Scott Parker or whatever. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like, we can't keep doing this and you know what? This feeds into the media narrative. This is why Postecoglou gets so annoyed. He's always tilted. He goes to the game, fans are throwing abuse at him. He sits down to do the interviews. The journalists are asking stupid questions. Honestly, questions Postecoglou has received throughout the course of the season are nothing short of just. I think Michael Bridge or someone asked something like ridiculous that day about like Arsenal, and I'm just sitting there listening. I'm like, I don't know how this is like a professional journalist. Is he just taking the piss? Like,
Yeah.
For me, like, I just think that we know the Premier League's done. We could lose 4-0 at Anfield, right? Doesn't make a difference. We could win 4-0 at Anfield. Doesn't make a difference. Just back the team. Stop going at the manager. If we knocked out of the Europa League, everyone is free to have their opinion, right? Even I am probably, like I said, I'm on the fence with Ange. I don't even know, like, if we won the Europa League, I don't even know if I want him to stay. But, like, let's just not flip-flop for now. And, it's the whole thing of, like, remember what, like, Romero came out saying after the Forest game, right? Like, oh, he wants to try out in Spain and everything. And everyone's going at him. Why would you be saying these things at the time when we're, like, going for a trophy? I agree. Like, Romero's stupid to do that. But, like, as a fan base, I think it's also kind of hypocritical to say that and then go at the manager when he's trying to win us the trophy. Like, I don't know. I think it's counterproductive. What do you guys think? Sorry, that was a ramble.
The way I look at the Premier League stuff, I do feel those frustrations. And, after every Europa League game, we've been sitting here and being like, oh, it's all on the Europa League now. The Premier League games don't matter. And, we're predicting losses going into Premier League. Some of us are predicting losses going into Premier League games. And, and none of us essentially really care that much about what happens in these Premier League games, win, lose, or draw. But when the game day comes and when that team lineup gets announced, you can't help yourself but actually get really invested in it and really care and dying for Tottenham to win and getting your hopes up, all to be crushed all over again over the 90 minutes. And it just gets very frustrating and it gets very kind of tiresome doing that. And that's where the frustrations come from, because every time you see your team play, that's what you live for every week, to see your team play and to see your team win. And when you getting losses week in, week out from those stupid errors, and even if performances are slightly getting better week in, week out, you're still seeing these stupid errors happen. So even if these games don't mean anything, even in pre-season games at the start of the season, we get upset and frustrated when we lose games. So it's still going to be the same case here. So,
and the opposite, we get overhyped when we win a pre-season game.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's just being a fan of a football club. This is just what happens. So you're always going to, even if the game don't mean anything, you're always going to get frustrated and point fingers after you see disappointing things on the pitch.
I totally agree, and I'm there with you. Like I live in Japan, right? So for me to like watch a game, I'm basically like I go to uni. I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch my team lose like 4 to the Wolves, right? Like it's frustrating, but at the same time, like the game ends and I'm frustrated, and I'm singling out players. I'm going at the manager, but you know to look at the bigger picture, like I just think that like we're setting like a kind of a toxic kind of platform for these players, and we have a really
Mhm.
young squad, right? I remember early on in the season with everything that happened with Brennan Johnson, right? You know, he went on to perform much better afterwards, but at the start of the season when he wasn't scoring, he faced a lot of abuse online, and that's terrible. And like I remember at the Fulham game afterwards, Postecoglou, I think a manager should be better than kind of going at the fans. Like, it's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, like, I just think that, like, if we're such an emotional football club with an emotional group of players that I just think if you go into the games with the toxic kind of mindset of, we don't know who the manager is going to be, like, that to me is the whole thing of like, we're going into touch wood, favorable semifinal tie against Bodo Glimt. I say that fully knowing that we have the capacity to mess it up. That like we are 2 games away from a European final, and we're getting linked to Scott Parker. Like I don't know any other football team that would be in that position. Like,
Well,
why
you
is
say that,
this a thing?
Farhad. You say that, Farhad. But I mean, Manchester United in the build-up to the FA Cup final and FA Cup final were being linked to all sorts of managers.
Not immediately though.
I mean, even after winning it, they were saying, they were talking to managers.
Is Europa League not a different level to FA Cup?
I mean, it's still. I mean, FA Cup would still be massive for us right now, and still be the same thing.
Nah, Europa League's much bigger, no?
No, but I'm talking about the FA Cup is still massive for us. We haven't won any trophy. So, I mean, FA Cup would be humongous. We haven't won an FA Cup since 91.
Yes, but Europa League is a European trophy.
I know it's a bigger trophy, but I mean, it's still... FA Cup would still hold very heavy on us right now. And a trophy is a trophy at the end of the day.
But also, their Man United is different. They're used to winning trophies. So we're not.
Yeah.
They've even in their bad periods, they win trophies. I'm guessing what Farhan, what you're trying to get at is, I don't think... Obviously, we all have discussions about who's going to be the new manager, but maybe it's more about after every defeat, it's like sack him immediately. Is that what you're getting at?
Pretty much. It's like basically like, for example, the Wolves game, right? We lose at 4-2, and then I think there was like another 4 days between that and the Frankfurt game, right? Where it's like everyone's online's like, oh, sack him now, put Mason in for the second leg, and I'm like, you really think we have a better shot at winning with Ryan Mason? Like, no disrespect to Ryan Mason, but like, yeah, listen, man, I love you guys, but like,
call him out, tell him how it is. Tell him.
No. Listen, right? I get it. You could be frustrated, but
don't hold back.
We're talking about a manager who's been managed for 30 years or so in ANGE, and then Ryan Mason, who has been the assistant manager for 6 years now or something. But like, there's no way we win that game away if we have Ryan Mason.
Who's got a higher win percentage as manager at Spurs? Ryan Mason or Ange?
I don't even want to calculate it. They're both embarrassingly bad, probably. They're probably as low as it goes. But no, that's another thing, right? People say Ange doesn't adapt, right? And to a certain extent, I think I agree with Sim. I think he tries to adapt, and most of the time it doesn't go well. But like, for example, like the Liverpool first leg, like, would you say that we played like how we usually play? Like,
no.
Gung-ho, fully attacking. Like, we were very measured that day when we won.
100%.
Frankfurt game, of course, it's recent memory. Even the City 4-0 away when we won, right? I don't think we were swashbucklingly amazing and playing on the front foot.
Nah, playing on the counter attack.
Measured. We kind of, yeah. Like, I do think Ange does try to adapt, but I think it's a culmination of, I think sometimes he doesn't know when to adapt. And the other thing is, I do think, like, the players sometimes, I feel like they hype themselves up for these games of like the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, and then you kind of go and play at Ipswich, and they're like, well, we can kind of just swash them to this and win this game relatively easily. And I think that's where the problem lies, where you have the stubbornness of Ange occasionally with some questionable substitutions, and then you have the mentality of the players where it's like they're either super confident in what they do, maybe overly confident, or they can't like put two passes together. That's always been the story for Spurs. Like, I'm a young fan. I've only supported for I've only been supporting for the last 10 years. So I'm fortunate to say that, I've never seen Spurs beat this bad. You guys have probably seen worse or maybe equivalent.
In the Premier League, I don't think we have seen worse.
Really? Well, I guess
this is statistically the worst ever Premier League season. So,
and of course, this is the season where there's the slight possibility of us winning European silverware.
That's what
no team in the entire world. Imagine a final of Man United versus Spurs, right? Like, I think European football must be quivering. They must be thinking, what is going on?
European football in the mud when you got a team 15th and 16th facing each other.
Who would you guys rather face in the final, Bilbao or United? Considering we beat Bodo Glimt.
It's a very difficult question. I don't know. I think I would just about side with United, but I think both of them will be very hard, to be honest. Yeah. What do you reckon, Sim?
Well, Bilbao are definitely the better team. There's no doubt about it. There's no two ways about it. Bilbao, for sure, the better team. The only thing that's just in the back of mind is that United have a way of getting those trophies over the line, and also the way they've been getting through this Europa League. They've been getting, they've just been getting a bit of luck on their side, and they've somehow, got through a lot of these ties. So, is it written for them if they make it there? But then again, Bilbao playing at home. There's two ways of looking at that. Is it going to be a massive playing a home advantage, or could that add to the pressure for them? And could they start to kind of get nervous playing in that scenario? So I do think I would side with United, considering we've beaten them 3 times already this season. It should give us confidence to beat them a 4th time. But either way, I'd be fairly nervous. But I think I'd rather play United.
What about you, Farhan?
I think I saw somewhere where it's like, whilst it is in Bilbao, the only I think 40% or something of the stadium could be like the Bilbao allocated fans. I could be totally wrong, but it would still probably be a good split for Spurs. I mean, listen, if we get to the final, I can't go there personally, but for where you guys, I'm sure you guys will try and get there.
We've already.
You guys
booked.
have to just staying exactly, yeah. You have to just go crazy. You have to show them that this means more to us. Right?
100%.
We'll be. I was saying from home, but to answer your question, Sam or Ben, I would genuinely rather Bilbao. I think the jeopardy of playing United in the final is just too big. What's worse than being 16th in the league is going to the European final and then losing to a team who's 15th in the league. I don't think I can handle that. At least Bilbao are a good team. I not handle I can already picture it. We score the first goal, we're in cruise control until the 70th minute. They get a scumbag equalizer, and then Harry Maguire scores a 90+1 header. I don't think I can handle that. Give me Bilbao.
Or they get a penalty for a stupid handball in the first few minutes of the game, and we can't recover.
Oh, don't even get me started. I think that's one of my poor memories as a Spurs fan, because obviously I've watched a lot more since COVID as I've gotten older, but I think that was one of my first memories of just what the hell am I watching? And I think we've just had we had such bad luck against Liverpool. We got one decision go on our side last year, and every other game without fail, it's just been nothing short of shocking. I could name on one hand 3 or 4 decisions that have completely gone against us.
Oh, good. I think the list is endless, Farhan. The list is endless.
Goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Farhan,
I prefer Bilbao.
Absolute pleasure to have you on today, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
Nice one, Farhan.
Thank you, guys.
See you later. I was actually thinking about this with comparing the Liverpool final to a potential final with Manchester United. Like when we played Liverpool, as much as it was great to be in a Champions League final, it just didn't feel like a European final because we were playing Liverpool.
I know what you mean.
So maybe that's another reason maybe why I would fancy a Bilbao a bit more, just because it would feel more like a European final.
When's Tottenham ever going to host a final?
Yeah, I'm sure it will soon.
That's going to be soon.
Daniel Levy's seeing the dollar signs.
Are we going to make it to that final when we've hosted?
Are we going to be in it? Let's go on to our next guest, Mr. Amir. Where are you today, Amir? You're on mute, I think.
Mute.
Amateur hour.
There we go.
There we go, Amir.
Amateur hour.
We're missing you. We're missing you in your bedroom, in the room that you used to call us in back in COVID.
I know, mate. I know. I'm missing that place as well. But I'm here on the Isle of Wight, just waiting to get back to London tomorrow. And yeah, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. The sun is shining. The weather is sweet. European semi-final in a week's time. Talk to me.
I'm nervous, lads. I'm nervous, honestly. And I know you boys got your tickets to Bilbao booked. And I just, given our history, I think Bodo could be a very, very tricky team to get past, to be honest with you. And I think the fact that, kind of people have set their sights on Bilbao already, not to say that we shouldn't, be confident. Obviously, we should be beating a team like Bodo, but this is a team that knocked out Lazio, did well against Roma. We got to go second leg all the way up to the Arctic Circle, play on an AstroTurf pitch. So for me, that game at home is the most crucial game we've had all season. We need to go up there with at least, I want a 3-goal lead. I think anything less than that, we could get turned over up there, lads.
Yeah, I do agree with that, to be fair.
Yeah, we've seen them this season, I think, in the knockouts already. They beat, I think it was Twente 5-2. They beat Olympiacos, I think, 3-0. They beat Lazio 2-0 when it could have been a lot more. So they've got some big potential when teams come at home. And although on the flip side, their away form hasn't been good. They have lost a lot of away games. So they are quite reliant on their home form. But, against Frank, if we play like we did maybe against Frankfurt, I know we didn't win that game, but if we create as many chances as that, we've got a good chance of taking a big lead there, right?
We do, Sim. It comes down to what Jekyll and Hyde Tottenham turn up on the night. We've seen some. Honestly, this season's been so up and down. Like Farhan was saying there before, some of the losses were so painful. I mean, that Ipswich one, that hurt hard. Leicester, really terrible. But then, you cast your minds back to some incredible performances. You think of City away, you think of Villa at home, you think of that Frankfurt performance away as well, lads. Honestly, I don't know how he did it. We ground out a 1-0 win and we looked solid for once. It was unbelievable. So it's just what Tottenham turns up really on May the 1st.
Thinking about it for the first leg, I think maybe we should just put Richarlison in for that first leg because he
get the goals.
Just he's the one who's going to get in the goal scoring positions, isn't he? And maybe he can get a brace or so. Put Solanke in for the second leg.
I wouldn't mind that.
What about starting with both of them up top from the start?
Or both of them up top. I wouldn't mind that. Just really go for it. Because I think if you put them under pressure in that first leg, they'll break. I really believe that. I think if we put them under enough pressure, then it's going to be very tough for them, in my opinion, with the quality that we have.
What I want to see, though, let's say it's only 1-0. If it's like 1-0 to Spurs going into the last 20 minutes of the game, I want to see us acting like we're losing. I want to see us acting and putting two up top for the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and really going for the throat. We have to do that.
100%. A 1-goal lead is not enough going up to Bodo. And at the end of the day, I quite like, Richie up top against Forest. He should have had a hat-trick, really. Let's be honest. And he does. He creates havoc, Richie, when he's fit and when he's up there. And he's just so much more of an aerial threat than Solanke. Every single ball that goes into the box, he's challenging for. He's trying to win. The issue he has, it's a bit of a lack of concentration because, I think I know people were moaning after Forest, but I really think that we should have won that game. And yeah, it was just mistakes that cost us at the end of the day. It was a tricky one, though. It was a tricky one. You know, after the high of Thursday, it's always kind of, you have that danger of a hangover in the Prem, the game after, and I think that's just what affected us.
What is going on, Amir, with all these individual errors? Seem to be like every Premier League game, Vicario, Romero, whoever it may be. It just seems to be non-stop at the moment. What do you put that down to?
I think it's pressure, Ben. I think these lads are feeling the pressure big time. Someone like Kuti, honestly, you expect from a world champion, a World Cup winner and a world champion to not crack under that pressure. But the way he got pulleyed off the ball.
Whoever's in the back end, can you just mute yourself because we can hear you coming through?
Yeah, so the way he got bullied off the ball as well, I think with Kuti, he's not fully, he's not fully with us anymore, lads. As much as it hurts me to say that, he's already looking for his exit over to Spain. And that interview he gave the other day, that just shouldn't be coming out before a cup final. Really, to be honest with you guys.
And he organises an interview like that as well. It's not even like put on by journalists or anything. It's all organised by him, and that's just like, I don't understand why you do something like that when you've got a European semi-final in 10 days' time or whenever it was.
The club okayed it, though.
The club did okay it, but that still doesn't make it okay for him to organise it.
Yeah, it's not okay. First of all, there's two mistakes there, right? There's a mistake that he's organising it in the first place. If you want to do that after the Europa League's finished. And second of all, why is the club okay in that? Why are you okaying for one of our best defenders to do that? I just don't.
Vice captain, Amir. Vice captain.
Take that away from him straight away. No, that's not on. It's simply not on. And with Big Vic, it's mystifying because as a shot stopper, he's one of the best I've ever seen. Honestly, I've seen him pull certain goals out of that net. Incredible saves. But he has an issue with, I don't know if it's concentration, a little bit of decision making as well, when to come for the ball, when to not come for the ball. That second goal was completely on him against Forest. And the first goal, to be honest, even with the little deflection, he should be saving that all day long. So whatever it is, whether it's a lack of concentration for Vic, he needs to sort it out for Bodo. I think this Liverpool game coming up, it doesn't mean anything. Play the kids. Give Moore some experience. Don't risk any injury. None. Just go with a second string team and play a few kids against them and see how we do. I don't want any, little niggles or potential hamstrings or anything that can hamper that first leg. Because for me, the tie can be won in that first leg. If we get a good result there, we go into Bodo feeling good, 3-goal lead. And then it's pretty much done. If we go with 2-1, 1-0, I really am worried about that trip to the Arctic Circle. It's tough conditions. It's a long flight to get up there.
Although I would point out we're all saying the same for Frankfurt.
True, but it's not an AstroTurf pitch in Frankfurt. It's a nice normal pitch. You know what I mean? Playing on such a different surface, Ben, that's, we saw what happened at Tamworth. We needed extra time against bloody Tamworth. So
it's true.
Yeah, I'm worried about that one, lads.
Well, where would, for you in terms of Ange and his position, a lot of reports we're hearing saying, he feels like the writing might be on the wall, although some reports are saying it's not, if he does win the Europa League, there is a chance he still might stay. What's your feelings on that whole situation?
I think it's obvious. If he wins the Europa League, I think it's in his hands whether he wants to stay or go. I think probably from Ange's perspective, I would win it and quit. Say go. Okay, I've done all I can do here and move on. But to think that people say he'll win it and then to sack him, I think that's absolutely crazy. He'll be the most successful manager we've had in 40 odd years if we win this trophy. So to me, I know we've had a terrible season. I know it's been horrible in the Prem, but there are mitigating factors, right? You know, the best teams do not sell their best players. When Ange came in, we sold Harry Kane. We still haven't replaced him, and you know, you had the injuries. There's a lot of factors in there that caused us individual mistakes. He's not telling these players to go out there and make, you know, howlers every week. So I think if he wins it, build him a statue, mate. Simple as that.
Only at Spurs can we have the most successful manager that we have in our lifetimes, finishing like 17th in the league.
It's the most Spursy thing ever, Ben. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then it's mad to think like this is the Jekyll and Hyde of it, right? If we go out to Bodo, that's our worst season. It's terrible, you know, absolutely appalling. Get rid of him, get rid of Levy, get rid of Enoch, shut down Spurs. But then if we beat Bodo, get to the final, you're one game away from Champions League football and a European trophy.
Yeah.
Question for you guys. Nothing we've kind of contemplated because it's probably a very unlikely situation.
What are we having for dinner tonight? Crispy shawarma.
What we having for dinner tonight? If we on Sunday, if we won at Anfield and he had a winner at Anfield on his CV, would that change anything?
Nah, not for me, Sim. Doesn't change anything. He could play the kids up there and we win 2-1. What does it change? It's a dead rubber game.
Does it change for you?
I'm just asking. I don't know if it changed anything. No, for me, it's the same situation. If we it's all on Europa League. But I'm saying a lot of people saying, "Oh, is he gone?" No, a lot of people saying,
I need to go though, chaps. I need to go. My guests have come back to the bus. So,
big up, Amir. Thanks for coming on today, mate.
Take care, guys. Love you. Leave you.
Big up.
See you later.
I'm just saying, what are they unbeaten at Anfield this season?
Probably.
So I'm saying if he was to have a win at Anfield on his CV and then back that with Europa League win,
then take Amir out the back end because he forgot to disconnect.
I'm saying if they won at Anfield and then backed up with a Europa League win, does that change?
A win at Anfield is not significant for me.
We are first win there since 2011.
Yeah, but still, for me, it's not like a game-changing event to win at Anfield in a dead rubber.
It's not a dead rubber. They have to win the league.
Well, they need to draw one game in the next 5 to win the league.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a dead rubber.
I don't think they're going to phone it in. This is the game they can mathematically do it.
I know that, but first of all, they've been kind of terrible for a while now. They've been limping their way to the title, like we've been saying week by week. They have not been losing games, but I don't think it's significant if we go to Anfield and win. I just don't.
It's not impressive at all.
I mean, it'll be a nice win. It'll be nice to experience. It'll be fairly impressive to go to Anfield and win on the face of things, but in the bigger picture, I don't think it means much.
But I'm saying if we win on Sunday,
it's not something to save his job, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm saying if we win at Europa League with a win at Anfield compared to without a win at Anfield, it does make a difference.
Sorry, say that. What's the question?
If we won at Anfield and then won Europa League, would you think a lot of people would be more willing for him to stay than just the Europa League win?
I don't think the win at Anfield will come into anyone's thinking.
Fair enough.
Why do you?
It might do.
I don't know.
Anfield is one of those.
You go to Anfield and win and finish 17th. Like,
we never win at Anfield.
Yeah, but we never finished 17th.
I'm saying we'll just add to that good feeling to the end of the season, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be a nice thing to do, but I don't think it's as significant as maybe, you know, if you win at Anfield and go get champions. I know I'm talking about just league here, and you go finish in the top 4, top 5. Then yeah, fair enough. That's significant. But if we win at Anfield and finish 17th or 16th or whatever, 13th at the very best, means absolutely nothing.
Would it also show that there is more evidence that we are improving post the injury crisis?
Maybe if Liverpool played well, but Liverpool are playing terribly at the moment.
But they're not losing.
No, they're not losing.
And they're unbeaten at home.
Are they? Yeah, they might be.
I think so. I don't remember them losing any games at Anfield this season. Have they lost any games at Anfield, chat? I don't remember. I don't think so. Off the top of my head.
But then, you know, you could look at that one game and yeah, we went to the Etihad and won 4-0 as well. But what did we do against all the teams that came up? You know what I mean? We lost to Leicester.
Forest won there early in the season. That's fair.
We lost to Leicester. We drew to Leicester. We lost to Ipswich. You know what I mean? Like, that outweighs it, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Let's go to our next guest. Jock for president.
AC Milan kit he's got. Milano.
You a Milan
Hi
fan?
guys. Hi guys.
How are you?
I'm good. Nah, I'm not a Milan fan. I just like the jersey.
It's a nice kit. It's a nice kit.
Nah.
You got a name on the back?
I'll prefer it if you're wearing the
Nah.
white version. I don't like red.
Me too. Me too.
Have you got a name on the back?
He's got Emerson Royale on the back. That's who he's got.
Nah.
No names.
Do you guys miss Emerson Royale?
Yeah, I'm missing him every day.
Hell no. I'm not. I'm not. Anyway,
Tell me, what do you want to speak about?
this club, yeah. I feel like we're a social experiment.
Tell me about
For
it.
real.
Tell me about
Like
it.
for real. Cause I remember, was it on when were we in the Conference League?
A
Under
couple years
Conte,
back, 2-3
2021.
years ago.
We didn't get out because of losing games. We got out because of Corona cases. That's like the craziest stuff ever.
Yeah.
But we lost games. Did we lose any game?
No,
lost
if
one
we would
game,
have
I
won the
think.
last game, we would have gone through, but we couldn't play the last game.
Bro, but problems. I have problems in this club.
Don't
This
we
guy
all?
called Daniel Levy.
You got 99 problems, and Levy definitely is one.
Yeah. Levy, that guy, I just need him to do one thing.
Oh,
Or like
God.
people to do one thing. Get me in a boxing ring with that guy.
A boxing match of Levy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I need to deal with him, man. Because that guy can't help us. No way. He's
It
not
has to
giving
be a
us
fair
money.
fight, obviously. It
What?
has to be a fair fight.
Yeah? What?
It has to be a fair fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be fair. Yeah, because I have a question.
So-
Where did the Hurricane money go to?
Where did it go? It
Yeah, where did
went
it go to?
Went
Well,
on Gray and Solanke.
65
What?
million on Solanke, 50 million on
Nah.
Brennan Johnson.
Nah. You see, guys, like right now, I'm so like nervous because like I've been following you guys for like the longest time ever.
Thank
Like,
you, man.
7 years now.
Thank you.
You're
Like,
Where
doing
you
well,
calling-
mate. You're doing well.
Where are you
Keep
calling
going.
from?
From Kenya. You remember
Oh,
Wanyama?
wow. Kenya.
Yeah.
I know Wanyama. Yeah, is he a
Yeah.
friend? Do you know?
Nah, I don't. It's kind of the reason why I support this club.
Okay.
I don't think like we have a lot of Tottenham followers here, so like I always get trolled for like following. Because the only fans over here for they're like Arsenal, United, like the big five. Then there's me. Like, I always been
That's
trolled.
why you wear the Milan shirt around. You don't even want to wear the Tottenham shirt.
I have like a lot of Spurs jerseys. I'm just tired. I haven't.
You just
watched-
don't wear them in public.
Nah, I can't wear them anymore.
He's tired of all the laughs you get when he's walking down the street.
What Spurs could do for a player like Victor Wanyama now?
They have to win for me, not Wanyama, for me.
Yeah.
We have to win this Europa because I've been positive like this whole season. I've known this season. I told my friends that this season we're not gonna do anything in the Premier League. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens in the Premier League. I just want to win this Europa.
Yeah.
That's it. And we can't be beaten by United in the final because we've beaten them 3 times this season. 3 times.
So you'll
Why
have a
would
lot
you
of
do
bragging
this?
rights on the streets of Kenya if we beat Manchester United in a final.
Of course. People hate me. People hate me over here. Because like I'm like the most bantered person over here. Like people hate me because I talk a lot. So Tottenham, you have to do me this favor. Because I wasn't originally a Tottenham fan. I used to support Barcelona. Then,
God,
like,
what a
guys-
switch! What a switch!
You're like
Exactly.
From
You're
all
like-
those trophies and happiness, and now you're Tottenham fan.
You're like Lucas
Exactly.
Bergvall choosing Tottenham over Barcelona.
Exactly. Because like I used to support Barcelona a long time ago. Then like you see over here, we mainly watch the Premier League. So like my friends were like, yo, you need to join a Premier League team, start supporting one of us. I was like, okay, let me choose Tottenham then. Then this is what you're doing to me, yeah? Even 2019, when we faced Barcelona in the group stage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was supporting Spurs.
See,
And we did the business. Lucas
Yeah.
Moura, last minute equaliser, sending us through.
and you thought, oh,
Yeah.
every year's going to be like this. No, unfortunately not. This is Tottenham.
But this year we have to win it, man.
What do you
And
do?
Ange's out.
What do you do with? What's your thoughts on Ange and what in terms of if we do and don't win the Europa League? Is his job dependent on it? What are your thoughts on that?
Sim, I'm sorry. I know that's a guy. I'm sorry. But he has to go, man. He has to go.
Regardless.
Because even if he wants the treble this year, he has to go. Because he can't be doing this to us. 17.
100%.
Yeah,
This is coming from a Barca fan. He's used to winning trophies. You know,
Exactly. And I'm like,
He's got high standards like we should all have.
we can't all have
Exactly,
Messi.
I'm like the most impatient person on earth. then Tottenham started teaching me how to be patient. Because I didn't, I started supporting you guys. Like, I started watching football late, yeah?
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
Oh, someone in the background.
Whoever's in the background, can they mute themselves, please? There we go.
You see, me, when I started watching football, yeah, I wasn't all about the trophies and that and that. I was all about how the playing style. That's why I support Barcelona.
Yeah.
Then I started supporting Spurs when Poch was around because I liked how they played. Then, I continued growing. I noticed you have to win trophies for people to to respect you. Because I always used to tell people we just finished number 2, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
When Conte won, eh?
Conte won the league, yeah.
Yeah, we were number 2. The league Leicester won. We were supposed to win. Just because of Chelsea, things happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who would you want? Would you want to see Pochettino return to the club? Who would you want as manager?
Is he gone?
Oh, I think he's gone. Connection dropped. Oh, well, thank you very much for calling in.
Jock for president. Vote. Vote for him.
Oh, are we going to bring this jabroni on?
No, that jabroni. Surely not.
Shut up, blood. What are you on about, man?
Mr. Jabroni himself. The Mr. Jabroni himself.
Shut up. Oh, someone in the background, please mute yourself, please.
Yeah, you tell him,
you're
KPV.
ordering people around on our stream, KPV.
Whoever's in the background, can you mute, please? Because I can't hear these two idiots. And Ben, do not even try mentioning what I haven't blocked Barry, you dickhead. I haven't blocked him. He's the one that keeps bringing it up.
He's just been busy, Ben. He's just been busy. He's not blocking Barry.
Exactly, Tim. I never blocked him. I don't know why Barry keeps accusing me of this, because it's the connection, all right? So, Barry, I know you're watching.
I'll have a word with him. I'll have a word with them.
KPV, your beard's looking good.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not buying Dago expressions oozing, you know.
I know, you're KPV.
How have we got a guy wearing a Milan shirt who used to support Barcelona? Because now he's a Tottenham fan. He was only Barcelona fan because they beat Man United in 2 Champions League finals under Pep.
I know, it's a bit like having a Spurs fan with Judas in their ultimate team.
Ben, shut the fuck up, mate. I did not have you. Ben, how many times have you got to repeat me, mate? It wasn't me. It was a different opponent on FIFA 22 because I watched one of your FIFA 22 videos. It weren't me, mate. So quit playing around about that prick. All right? He can do one, mate. I hate him anyway. So enough about this prick anyway, because I do not give a damn about him, mate, because I couldn't care less. Because Sim wowed the guy. So
absolutely, absolutely,
KPV, Ange in or Ange out?
Oh, for God's sake, man. I've said it time again, Ange out. I couldn't care less. Bring back the guy who Daniel Levy made a big mistake getting rid of. Bring him back. Poch. Come back, mate.
We have unfinished business. He's magic. You know.
And we have unfinished business, mate. And you're the only one who can save this club. And guys, the last time Man U played Bilbao, scored the goals.
The last time who?
It
Man
was-
U played Bilbao.
It was Fernando Llorente.
Yes.
He knocked them out. 2012.
I remember that game.
Yeah, Fernando Llorente knocked them out, mate. So,
So we should
Now-
re-sign him. We should re-sign him before the final.
of course, man. Like, and Romero, what are you doing? You're like, and every other player's been saying they want to leave. Like, it shouldn't
KPB,
be
there's
happening
only
to
one way
them.
we win the Europa League, and that is if we play in that green shirt in the final.
Well, suppose you're right, but if we get to the final, we'd be the home team. Like, according to my key worker, I didn't get to see Wes Brown. He wasn't there. Fortunately, I didn't get to see him. So a bit gutted about that. I never got to see my mate Wes Brown. So never got to see him, man.
Are we going to be
Devastating.
are we going to be the home team if we get to the final? Is that true?
Yes,
That's-
because we should have been a home team in the Champions League final because, yeah, Liverpool got there first, but we should have been a home team. But UEFA changed it to those scumbags who cheat. It was the worst final in years, and even the taxi driver agreed with it last year.
And
It was
taxi
the
drivers
worst.
are never wrong.
Exactly, because he's a Liverpool fan. He even admitted it. Like, whoever the worst was in that final, you're a disgrace, mate. It was never a penalty. And look what happened with Chelsea against Barcelona at semi-final in 2009. They were robbed. They would have played Man United in back-to-back finals, and United still would have won it. So I couldn't care less, Sammy. Your team is shit, and you still ain't winning it. So
Damn
you got
right.
lucky, and I don't like that team. So, but I want to win this trophy, and them lot from Woolwich have not won it. So, well, they have actually 94. I couldn't give a damn, but I do not want them winning the Champions League. If they win it, I'm leaving this country. I've
Where
said
you
it on
going?
Facebook, man.
Where you going?
Where I go? Ibiza, mate. I'll go Ibiza for a while.
You're not going to Daigles? I heard you're going to stay at Daigles. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's for the World Cup, mate. But this season, when it finishes, like the Europa League finals on the 21st, that'll be on a Wednesday or Saturday. You know, the Champions League finals on a Saturday, but the 21st is on a Wednesday of May. And yeah, like I'd rather play Man United in the final because the last time we played them lot was in the 2009 World Cup final. We lost on penalties thanks to a person known as Ben Foster.
Oh yeah, forget
Balu,
Foster,
Balu in the
jabroni.
comments says, come to South America.
Sorry, kid, no chance. Because why do you want me to come to South America, mate? If that's what you're asking, not a chance, mate. Because nah, mate, I'll never come there. Sorry,
Why
mate.
not? What's wrong with
Wow.
South America?
You ain't going, mate. No chance.
Well,
No
I don't know
chance.
what goes on in there, mate. What goes on there?
Yeah, what does
Disco.
go on there?
Unbelievable football. You know, you got the Argentinians World Cup, 2 Copa Americas. You've got Brazil, samba on the beach.
Fuck's sake.
You're
Mate,
gonna have to
I'm
go now,
going to go
KPV.
to
You're gonna have to
London.
go.
Mate, I don't know, man. I'll think about
Poch-
that.
have an
Canada,
Argent-
London.
Poch-
Pochettino's from South America.
Go have an Argentinian barbecue with Romero on the beach in Argentina.
Really? What about the butcher for Man United, Lautaro Martinez? I wouldn't mind having a barbecue, mate. I've already got a picture of me holding that World Cup for my birthday last year. I've already got a picture of me holding that. Like, it's our time, man. Like,
It's our time.
it's our time, bud. Like, Europa League, we need to win it because I've still got a picture of me holding it, and you can see if I know you can't see it. Let me turn the light on because you won't be able to see it properly. You know, there's yours truly holding it. Can you see?
Yes.
Kind of.
Go down a bit. Put the camera down a bit more. There you go.
What trophy is that?
Europa
He's
League,
holding a
mate.
picture of someone holding Europa League.
Oh.
Of the UEFA
That's
Cup.
no-
Oh, that's
Robert.
Graham Roberts.
And there's the great Ozzy Ardiles,
Oh, look at that.
the legend. Yeah. See? I saw him, mate. I was fortunate enough to see him.
A lucky
And-
boy.
The legend, mate, because he's a legend of the club. He won a World Cup. Yeah, Ricky Villa. And yeah, so yeah, I saw him and I've got a picture of him and me and the great Tony Parks, is it?
Tony Parks, the great Tony Parks. A lot
Yeah.
of legends.
And I've got a picture of him and me. What?
Right,
Hi,
well,
my humble.
KPV. Someone wants to know what KPV stands for. Min Chi.
Oh, for God's sake. Carl Patrick Vineyard, mate. It's my name.
Get with the program.
Come
Get
on,
with the
Minchie.
program, mate. Whatever your name is, get
Min-
with it. I couldn't give a damn, mate. That's my name. And yeah. So, yeah, that's my name. And I couldn't care less. If
That's your name. Don't wear it out.
And that's the bottom line because KPV says so.
Anyway, people, I know you got more people on, so if you haven't, then we're running out of time, people. So get your asses on in. Oh, nice one, Ed. Cheers. Book table for the Sunday game. Thanks.
Beautiful.
Big up, KPV.
Carl.
Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Enjoy
We'll see you
Sunday.
next time.
Enjoy Sunday.
Yeah,
Booked a table for the Sunday game. Beautiful.
Oh, it's never a dull moment when KPV's around, that's for
Definitely
sure.
not.
Let's go to Regan. How you doing, Regan?
Hey, I'm doing very well, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, good to have you
pleasure.
on, my friend. Are we winning the Europa League?
I've been watching you guys for a long, long time, but I've never thought about phoning in. But it's great to be on, guys. I just wanted to ask you guys about Ange Postecoglou. I think we're going to win the Europa League.
Come on, that's what we're talking about.
That's the positivity we need here.
You know, and the thing for me is, I've heard a lot of people saying that Ange Postecoglou needs to go if we still win the Europa League. But for me, I think Ange Postecoglou he's had a lot of injuries this season. And if you go back to his very first season at the club, we managed to finish fifth in the table. And I remember the 4-0 win against Villa up at Villa Park. And don't forget, guys, we've managed to beat teams like Manchester City 4-0 away. We've managed a lot of big victories. So I think, and obviously, we could have possibly got to the final this season, but we got beat 4-0 up at Anfield as well. So I think there's been a lot of positives. I know. Because the big thing for me as well is it's going to be a big summer of change in terms of Ramiro's going to go. I think there'll be a few others that will go as well. So I just think sometimes it's not always the manager's problem, because I feel I've been following the club since AVB, because I was 12 years old at that point. But I just feel as if every few years we're kind of changing the manager, and I think sometimes we can need a bit of
Stability.
Yeah.
And so for you, Reagan, does you would keep him regardless of whether he wins Europa League or not, or does he have to win the Europa League?
I think he has to win it, because it would also the people that are not on board, and I think people are saying at the moment that they would sack him still. But I think, see, when you're in see if we do go on to win it, I think everyone's mindset would possibly change, because I think it's okay saying it for right now, but I think if you're in that moment and you go to the stadium in Spain and see Spurs win a trophy, I mean, Pochettino was amazing. He was so good. I was in the stadium many times and seen Spurs play, but I think Ange Postecoglou is a very, very good manager.
Well, only time will tell if we do win that trophy. Only time will tell. And if we do win the trophy, I do think, I don't know, it could go one of two ways. Either he could walk.
See, for me, guys, as well, just one quick point. I think if Ange does go, I think the one guy for me would be Thomas Frank.
Okay.
Thomas Frank.
Because I watched a podcast with Thomas Frank, and the big thing for me that Thomas Frank does, he adapts regardless of the game. He's talking about the opposition, and I think that's one thing that Ange doesn't do. He talks about playing football no matter who's playing, and I think if you look at Thomas Frank, he would adapt depending on who he's playing, and I think that's been the biggest weakness of Ange Postecoglou. I watched Ange Postecoglou's Celtic teams, and see see at the very start of Ange's time at Celtic, there was a lot of supporters that wanted Andrew as well. So I totally understand it, but I just feel like Thomas Frank would be the best option for us.
All right, Regan, really good points made. Thank you so much for coming on today, my friend.
Appreciate you calling,
But,
Regan.
yeah,
Nice to meet you.
see you later.
Cheers, mate.
was
So,
Regan
Thomas
Thomas.
Frank, #1 target.
I see a lot of people got wanting him, which look, I think he's a good manager. I do. And to be fair, people do make good points when they say in when he was in the Championship, he did play very good football. He wasn't like the defensive football we see now at Brentford, but I would like to see him play attacking football in the Premier League and hit it working rather than.
I guess it's just what you have at your disposal. And look at, like, you know, at the beginning of the season, you know, we were having the discussion, will Brentford get relegated? You know, the resources they have is, you know, compared to like what your average Premier League side is not a lot.
Don't get me wrong, I think he's a great manager. He is a great manager, but what the point is can he come to Tottenham, play like good attacking football and be successful? I just don't know. But I agree with you. He does definitely get the best out of his disposal, and he has shown that at Brentford. So, like, but it is one thing doing it at Brentford and doing it at a bigger
100%.
club. That's the thing.
I just never know whether Thomas Frank is just the perfect fit for a Brentford side, or he could go to another club and actually do it.
Because
at
you've
a
seen it,
bigger
other
stage.
clubs, you know, other managers take. You know, like Chris Wilder finished 7th, didn't he? I know couldn't sustain it, but he finished 7th with Sheffield United, then couldn't sustain it. You've seen like Sean Dyche overperform with Burnley. Like you've seen managers overperform, and obviously they're good managers, but doesn't mean they're ready for top jobs specifically. But I don't know if Frank is in that camp or not. I don't know.
Well, we will never know until he takes that bigger job.
That's the truth.
Let's move on to Sanel, I think is how you pronounce it. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks for calling in. What do you want to talk about today?
I just wanted to start by apologizing. Sorry, I think I was removed from the stream. I thought my laptop muted, but I don't think it did. So I just wanted to talk maybe players a little bit about ANGE Postecoglou, and maybe if I can speak to you guys about maybe the players that I'd like to see be moved on from the club.
All right, let's start with Ange. What's your take on Ange?
Ange must leave.
Must leave, regardless of Europa League or not.
He wins, he loses, he should leave. Like for me, I think since December, I think when you were Ange out as well, then I want to Ange out as well, because it seems like, okay, an example that I've been giving to my cousin is we see that there's a car that's coming to bump us, but we're still standing in the road just to see if we'll die or we'll survive. So the best thing is just let him leave or just move out the way and then the car will pass. So that's how I felt about Ange. I wanted him out since December. When we saw that we're starting to lose, I didn't want him in. Because also when I listen to you guys most of the time, same was on the thing that maybe it's the injuries. But even though we do have injuries, the same players are still playing. Like, for instance, when you look at Archie Gray now, he doesn't play anymore since the players are back.
Yeah.
So we thought maybe he would like manage the players and maybe arrest some players, some games, and some players will play. But it seems like they won't play at all. So those are the things that I don't like about Ange at the same time.
Gray did play against Wolves.
Against Wolves he played, yeah. But that was like first game in a while, wasn't
And
it?
against Fulham he played.
Did he start both games?
Started against Fulham, 2-0. He started in midfield.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He played those games. Okay. Can I put it in this way? For me, when we talk about rotation, look at the starting team that played in the against Frankfurt away, and look at the team that played now against Forest. He didn't like rotate enough to my liking.
He made 5 changes. That's half the team.
Was it 5?
Yeah. Is that not
But
enough?
when you look at it, you look at players like Romero and Van der Ven who've been injured and things like that. I think maybe they should be rotated more so that they can be kept fresh, so that we can have the best shot of winning the Europa League if they're the best players for us. So
He took
when
them
I
over
look at
half
it in
time,
the-
though. He took them over half time.
Yes, but it doesn't diffuse the fact that they still play. For me, I'd rather keep them until maybe the Liverpool game. They can play one half day, maybe to keep them fresh for the Bodo Glimt game. But I think we passed that now. So going forward, for me, I'd like to see maybe, firstly, the goalkeeper. I think we should get a better goalkeeper than Vicario. I don't think he's a good enough goalkeeper for us.
It's a strange one with Vicario, isn't it? Because when he came back from injury, he looked like one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. And then the last few weeks, you've really seen, like, I don't know what's going on with Vicario. It's like traits that we've never seen before.
But also, with Vicario, I don't think he gives us that confidence when we under set pieces and things like that. So, like, when there's a free kick or a set piece, we're not very certain that we're gonna like have a goalkeeper who will come out and clean. It doesn't help the defenders in that sense. So as a defender, I think Romero, Poro, Van der Ven, either Spence or Udogi need the help from the goalkeeper. That we know that we have a confident goalkeeper who's gonna come and claim the ball, which helps them with their job because now they don't have to make sure that they do get their hits on the ball, but they know that the keeper can come and help them out in that sense.
Well, what's really frustrating about that is like that's something that's been pointed out about Vicario for a while. But I felt like before his injury, he was getting a lot better at it, like before that ankle injury. And then I thought against Man City, he was phenomenal. It was like one of his best games in a Tottenham shirt, and he was brilliant. But then obviously he picked up that injury in that game, and then he went missing for 3 months. Obviously he's injured. And then he's come back and he hasn't maybe been as good as he was from like catching as he was before the injury.
I thought as soon as he came back, he kind of like picked up where he left off. But it's like the last few weeks, he has been poor.
There's no getting away from that. But is it harsh to say we need better just off the back of the last few weeks, or do you think ever since he's come here he's been a problem?
So I think ever since he came, for me, when you look at his ball playing abilities at the same time, so I don't think he's good enough on the ball playing abilities. And also when you look at the fact that sometimes maybe he'll claim a ball from an attack from the opposition, and then he wants to start the attack at the very same time. So when you look at it as a soccer player, maybe if you guys have played before as well, so if you make that 100-meter sprint, maybe from the opposition's box straight to your box, and then your goalkeeper sends you back, it's very far for our players to get to their box at that tempo, but it's easier for the opposition team if they intercept in our half to get to our post. It's easier because they still have players forward, but whereas when you look at us, our players have ran a whole 100 meters to the goal post to defend the ball. So going back and coming forward and things like that, they waste energy for the players. Sometimes I'd like Vicario to adopt maybe the Man City type thing of after we get attacked, he just relaxes with the ball, cools down the game, and then when everyone is set in their positions, start releasing the ball, and then we start building up, not just by going up and down, up and down, up and down. We're wasting too much energy according to me. And also, I just wanted to speak about Son.
We won't have a bad word about Sonny on this channel. Nah, but go for it. I'm joking.
So, with Son as well. So when I look at how we press, I feel like Son also leaves us very, very in a delicate situation when he just presses. I think we should have pressing traps where we know when the ball is going to the right center back and then it goes to the right back. Now we know that we have to start pressing. So that way we'll have an extra man at the back. Like we're not going to be 1v1 in every position. Instead of Solanke going to the left center back and Son to the right center back. And then Udogi is going to run from his left wing or the right wing straight to the right back. That way, the distance that Udogi opens there, that means the attacking team can just switch the ball to that side and then we'll just seem like we are open, whereas we're not that really open. It's just that the distances that we are running for pressing, I don't think they can, or they do help the team. I think they just work against the team.
I think.
I don't know what's your take on it.
So you're saying we're not a very smart pressing team. We just basically press when in any situation.
I feel like we just run for the sake of running, and then it's gonna seem like we're pressing. Like when you look at how we started the season, most of the time Solanke would win balls with Kulusevski because they were pressing Krebs then. But now I don't think they are pressing Krebs enough to make the other team make mistakes so that we can intercept in their half and go to goal and score. So for me, that's the other issue. And when I look at Son, he doesn't take on players anymore. So I would like to see him on the bench and maybe more of Odobe and maybe Mikey Moore as well, and Tell ahead of Son for me, because they do give us that sense of they'll attack their player. I like Mikey Moore more because it doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3, he just goes in. And then most of the time it will work out, sometimes it won't work out. So I like that on the player because it gives the defenders something to think about. Also, when they have to attack us, they'll have a second thought of, oh, Mikey Moore might come at me. So if I go that way and waste energy and come back and I have to defend, I won't have enough energy to keep up with him. So I'd like to see more of those players than Son. I know Son has a goal in him. I won't disregard that, and I appreciate that from Son. But for most of the time in the match, he's going to trap, go back, and I don't really think that's helping the team and Solanke at the same time.
When you're looking at the team that's going to face Bodo Glimt in the first leg, with a player of Son's quality that, in terms of finishing ability and maybe even from a creative standpoint that Son has, do you not think that in a game like that where there should be some space for him that he should be playing ahead of a Tell or a Mikey Moore?
I think we should use Son as an impact player when some players are tired, and then he'll just come in and run at them, have those shots, create more opportunities for us. But to start a match and end the match with him, I don't think is of that level anymore, because before I knew that Son, when we have him either way, in any position, it run at the plays. But now I don't think he does that too much. So I think him maybe being an impact player, give him that 20, 25 minutes in the second half, I think we can see more of him than having him start the match.
Interesting. What about Kuti Romero? Where are you at with Kuti?
I think Kuti Romero, if it's good with him, he should leave. So it's not good.
I'm sure it will be good for him to leave.
Yes. So when you look at the mentality, when I look at the players we have, I look at the mentality. So when you have 11 Kuti Romeros on the pitch, I'm pretty sure you'd win more matches than having who can I say, maybe a Vicario who's going to make more mistakes and apologize every time. I don't think apologizing to the fans and everything like that helps us. We just want to see him improve. So we shouldn't apologize, but just improve, make it better. So for me, when I look at Romero's quotes about leaving maybe to Spain, I think it's a good thing if he leaves, but also he should just brighten our management that we need more players of the same caliber or higher than that, so that we can go on and win trophies and compete for the biggest honors that are there to offer.
All right, Sanel, thank you so much for calling in today. Some really good points made.
No problem. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
And to you, my friend. Big up to Sanel. And last caller of the day?
Yeah.
Last caller of the day, Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Hello. You guys, can you hear me?
Can hear you very well, my friend. How are you?
Good. You?
Yeah, not bad, mate. What do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about, the managers situation, how we're probably going to sack Ange if we don't win Europa.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact Kieran McKenna isn't given a shout out, really, by the press or anyone.
Yeah. You know what? I've heard Kieran McKenna's name floated around a bit, and, he's a Tottenham lad, came through the ranks at Tottenham, coached at Tottenham through the youth levels. And I feel like a lot of fans have actually given it quite thought with Kieran McKenna. And the problem is that it's a big risk, isn't it?
I think he'll be the next Poch if he comes to us.
Why do you think that?
Because look what he's done with the players he's had. If you look at the Athletic, they went through and put the best managers, and if you put the wages per point, which is a statistic I think Levy would love the most, because in a day, Levy's going to be here. We've got to find the best managers that will suit his ambition and will get us high and play where we want to.
I like the idea. I mean, McKenna got back-to-back promotions, didn't he? From the League One to Championship to the Premier League, and that's very impressive. No mean feat to do that, is it?
Yeah.
Did it playing decent football? But, you know, McKenna, what I would say about McKenna this season, look, to be fair, it's very hard to manage in the situation he has. All the Premier League, all the promoted sides have struggled. But, you know, one big criticism of Ange is, he doesn't adapt and all these different things. But could you not maybe say the same about McKenna? He kind of just keeps playing the same way and doesn't whatever the results are, he's just going to keep playing the way he wants to instead of just getting results.
I can understand that, but I've got mates who've been going Ipswich home and away pretty much from League One, from when he was there a few seasons in League One Championship. I only started watching him last year in the Championship, and I was like, he doesn't change his style, but his style is quite similar to Poch. It's the same formation, similar style build up, and it suits most of our players we have. If you actually look at it.
And he's a Tottenham boy. So I think there's a lot of boxes that it does tick.
And the company got relegated, and
that's what I'm saying. You can't. I mean, you can throw the he's relegated stick at him because he's getting relegated with Ipswich, but you're looking at the gap between the Championship and the Premier League. It's widening and widening every year, and it's getting harder and harder for any manager to keep their respective teams in the Premier League that have come up. So, yeah, company is a good kind of. I don't know if it's a comparison to make because we don't know. We don't know, do we? We just don't know. It's like very much going into the unknown with McKenna.
Yeah. But I guess Bayern took that risk, didn't they? And McKenna's CV was very similar to Kompany's, before getting it.
True.
So I guess, look, I think McKenna's done a great job. I would like to see him at a bit of a higher caliber team before offering him the Tottenham job. But at this point, we are looking for a new manager. He's one of the most viable options, to be honest, at the moment, Kieran McKenna, in terms of how he's done. And I think he probably is in the running because didn't he get offered the Chelsea job and turned it down? Wasn't it Man U? I think both of them, or one of them. Was it both of them or one of them?
He got offered both, but he signed a new contract with Ipswich instead. Because, I just think McKenna will suit us the best because he will play. He'll play a way which is defensively solid if he has the players. Most of the players he has is a decent Championship side if you actually look at it. Wolfenden and the players they signed were all like good level Championship players, so their idea is pretty much go up, go down, go up, go down, get the parachutes money so they can build a sustainable team. And if we get McKenna, we'll be able to get Liam Delap in. If we get Liam Delap to basically be our main striker, I'd probably say above Solanke and then Sarah Charlson, it'll be very good because I rate Delap. I think he could be the next game because you see how much power you see, makes runs in behind, he could do pressing.
And isn't it Ipswich's his first job, isn't it?
McKenna's first job, yeah.
Yeah. So that's also apparently he was always one of the best coaches. Like everyone says in his coaching time.
Yeah, he was great. He was a youth team player at Spurs as well, 2002, 2009. He had a coaching roles at Manchester United as well, not just at Spurs.
Yeah, wasn't he assistant for when Mourinho was there at Man United?
I don't know.
He was one of the assistants. I think he was Mourinho's coaching staff.
He was Man United's under-18s manager and won the title there. And then along with Michael Carrick, he was promoted to the first team coaching staff and replaced Rui Faria as Jose Mourinho's assistant. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Because we're not going to get a good manager. We're not going to get an elite manager because the way we operate. We've got to sign the player. We got to get a manager who will probably believe in us and stay with us. Ryan Mason, if he can go off and get some courses, he could be like Kieran McKenna. But McKenna's got the opportunity. We've got to take someone who will actually bring back the meaning of being Spurs, bring back pride for players and stuff. Because McKenna, as a Tottenham boy, he should be able to do that more.
Yeah, you know what? I don't dislike the idea. You've definitely kind of convinced me a bit more that McKenna should be in the running for Spurs manager. But Joe, good points made. Thank you for calling in today, my friend.
Thanks, Joe.
No, right.
Kieran McKenna, what do you reckon?
I actually like that idea.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think he's a coach who's much talked in the game. And his first job has been like amazing. I know he wasn't able to keep Ipswich up, but to get back-to-back promotions is phenomenal. Now, who does that? Not many.
True.
So I think definitely he should be with a shout, especially with his Tottenham ties as well.
And also, like, you're looking at the job he's done in the Premier League with a squad that's not Premier League standard, like, you know, was suggested on the call. I think he's actually, you know, he's not done terrible. Look, I know he's going back down and it's going to look like a bad job on the CV, but actually, I think he's done himself a service with the way he's managed in the Premier League.
Well, he's done better than Leicester and Southampton, that's for sure, like much better than them.
And with worse squads, probably, than Ipswich, than Leicester anyway.
Well, they have the likes of Delap, who's obviously been very good.
Leif Davis
is good. You got Philogene. I didn't mind Philogene before.
Well, they only just bought him, didn't they? Philogene they just bought. Smodix was decent in the Championship. Enciso they got on loan. So there are a few decent players. Jack Clark they signed for big money, who was good in the Championship. No one, I guess, really proven in the Premier League. You're talking about a real Championship side. When you're looking at the Leicester team, they've got a host of Premier League experience in that team.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So I think when you're comparing Ipswich's side to Leicester's side, I do think that on paper, Leicester have got a better squad.
Yeah, I think you make a good case.
Like they've got Harry Winks and Ollie Skip in the centre of the park. I mean, they were, you know, starting for Spurs. Harry Winks at the start of the season, he was in the running for people were talking about him, like getting him called up for England.
He had a few good games.
Yeah. So
Canute's decent player.
Yeah.
What's his name? Buonanotte.
Well, I love Buonanotte. I think Buonanotte is a really good
player. They had Mavdidi and the other guy, the two wingers, Mavdidi and one of the other guys. I can't remember his name. So they had some decent players.
But look, we're going to finish off this stream reacting to some of your comments. So obviously you guys show us so much love, and we're going to be reacting to some of the best comments that we've been picking out over the course of the day. So let's
love's one way of putting it, but first one is from Roger Payne 5336. Says, wow, it's official then. Sim loves Ange more than the club. Damn, all those terrible stats under Ange, and yet the guy flies to Ange's defence on if we win Europa, it's despite Ange, not because of him, which is 100%, by the way. Oh well, there we have it. Cultist number one. P.S. We need way more paying fans staying away from the fancy stadium, as Levy just wants your cash. He wants Spurs to have a shocker season and yet sits on his arse doing jack about it. In terms of, look, all my only point was, if you're going to list off all these stats and say that's all of that is purely down to Ange, and if we win Europa League, he doesn't get any credit, I just think that's wrong. I just think if you're going to say either it's all on Ange or there's partly to blame for everything, is my point. If you're going to say all those stats, that's all down to Ange, and yet if we win Europa League, he has no credit for that, I don't agree with that at all. Either you say it's all on him and he gets credit for the Europa League, or you portion the blame for everything and say you can say he's partly to blame for these and he also partly doesn't get any credit for the Europa League.
Yeah, look, as much as I'd like to sit here and disagree, I think that's completely fair. I think everything should, under his tenureship, he should be accounted for, and that's including the good stuff and the bad stuff. You know, you can't just criticize when you want and then just not give him credit when it's going to be duly deserved. And if we go and win a European trophy, or any trophy for that matter, he needs to be, you need to give him the praise that he deserves.
Exactly. I just don't like that narrative, and I can see already forming from a few fans, and I just don't agree with it whatsoever. Mythan V says Romero can't discuss his future plans right before a big Europa game, but you guys can discuss Ange sacking potential replacements before the same. Funny, this world we live in.
First of all, we're not vice captains of this football club, Second of all, we're fans, so we're open to discuss any sort of situation. And yeah, like if you're a vice captain of a club, you can't be talking about where you're going to be playing or where you want to be playing in the future. You need to be focusing on the job in hand and the task in hand, and that is captaining your side, showing your leadership ability to a trophy.
Should we as fans be focusing on the task in hand, getting to a Europa League semi?
Us as fans, we're not the ones on the pitch, and once the game comes, you know what I mean, we're going to be fully focused. And even in the games that don't really matter in the league, we're fully focused on, hopefully seeing Spurs win. But Romero doesn't seem to be fully focused every game.
He does in Europa, though.
In the Europa, yeah, which is fair enough. But you can't, in between that, talking about where you're going to be going next and I want to play in Spain. Like, leave that till the end of the season.
Daniel Hewson 8866 says if he stays or goes is all the same to me, but he's talking about Romero. But I speak Spanish and he didn't say he wants to leave. Yes, he's open to it and he did say he'd like to play in Spain, but that doesn't necessarily mean now, although his references to there being a couple months until the end of the season are telling. That said, don't doubt his commitment. He really wants to win this trophy and did say he's happy for now.
For now, the key point being there. Yeah, I mean, what can I say to that? I just feel
he
like...
said he didn't say he wants to leave.
Yeah. Well, we know he didn't say he didn't say that.
Well, you were acting like he did.
Did I act like he did?
You're talking about, he can't be talking about his future and all this, but he didn't say he wants to leave.
About his future.
But he didn't say he wants to leave.
I know. We both said that at the time. He didn't say he wants to leave.
But we're not acting like he's basically saying he wants to go to Spain.
We know the connotations he's making. We know exactly what he's doing. He's saying things without actually saying things. You know what I mean? Like, he's organised an interview where he knows the kind of questions that is going to be asked, and he knows exactly what he's doing. We've been through this.
All right.
Do you not agree?
I don't have a very strong opinion on it, to be honest. From what I've seen,
but you have a opinion on it.
Yeah, I think preferably he shouldn't be doing an interview at this point in the season. And also look, I don't like it. Put it that way. I don't think it's a massive deal, but I don't like it. I don't think it's going to derail anything or changes anything. But I would prefer he didn't do it. Essentially,
it's just not what you want to see from your vice captain, is it?
No. Definitely, of course not. Just like I didn't like it when Kane did it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it then, but Kane ended up staying that summer. But like, I don't think
it was a disgrace when Kane did it as well.
Yeah, but it's not like I think Romero's going to phone it in these Europa games because that's happened or anything. I'm pretty sure he's still going to be. He's going to care as much.
Seems like he's phoned it in the Premier League games.
He's not the only one though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but he is vice captain.
Yeah. I know, but it doesn't mean it's more unacceptable for him. It's unacceptable for everyone.
100% is unacceptable for everyone. I don't disagree. But he's the one that's supposed to be showing the leadership ability and showing the others what to do and how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I doubt he's making these mistakes on purpose. He's just, at the moment, there's a collective, like, not saying giving up, but definitely we've switched off in the Premier League because we're concentrating on the Europa League games. Food off Soul says if we win Europa, why would he choose to leave? Doesn't make any sense. I think you're talking about Ange here. Spurs need to win a trophy, blah blah blah. Then if he does, he leaves. Too many want the merry-go-round and supposed quick fix. Ben, don't compare League Cup to win to Europa. They give the same reward as a Europa Conference League and Europa Conference League qualification. Sky Sports showed some numbers before the Forest game. Still third highest scorers, a lot of positive other stats showing Spurs progress. Too many looking at Ange's first 10 games and thinking everything was fixed. Spurs going to win the league, etc. And forget the rebuild needed throughout the squad. Short memories. Let's remember Forest finished 17th last season. They've no European football along with Newcastle and have allowed their manager to build something. Maybe Spurs could learn something.
Maybe they could, but Nottingham Forest were a team that are kind of used to finishing in that position. They were very recently in the Championship. Spurs, when's the last time we finished this low in the league?
Not a long time. Yeah, a long time ago.
Very long time ago, you know. No matter the circumstances, Spurs should be nowhere near where we're at in the league. And if Nottingham Forest were to finish like in the bottom half, no one will really bat an eyelid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a disgrace where Spurs are at in the league. So
no, I think he's talking. He's not talking about that. He's not talking about last season Forest. It was okay for Forest to finish 17th, so it's okay for us. I think he's saying Forest finished 17th, and look how it quickly changed. I think is the point. And it can, I guess maybe the point is it can quickly change.
Yeah, look, it could do, but like I said, like, it can quickly change, but like, it's an expectancy. It was an expectancy for Forest to finish in that kind of situation. So like, the manager can be given time after that. It's not an expectancy for Spurs to finish here. So it's a disgrace and a sackable offence. It wasn't a sackable offence for Forest to finish there. It was actually an achievement to stay in the league.
I understand that. No, that's a fair point. But then if he backs up with Europa League win, then maybe there's more justification to keep him on, and maybe it could still swing very quickly from that 17th position.
We're all desperate for that Europa League win, and it'll be massive, absolutely massive. And if we are to win the Europa League, then I agree with, I can't remember if it was a caller or a comment that said it will be on Ange to make that decision whether he wants to stay or go. And I'll be happy with that, you know. If Ange says he wants to leave at the end of the season, then yeah, fine, cool. If he wants to stay, then fine. But we all know that if he stays, a dodgy patch at the beginning stage of the season, he'll probably be gone.
LC70 says, don't care who they are. If any Spurs player does not want to be there, then they can go. PS, can we not refer to Romero as Cootie like he's a long-serving give-it-all Spurs warrior? He's just another uncaring mercenary who's mostly a liability. What did we pay for him? 45 million or so? As long as we don't make a loss, then he can foxtrot Oscar.
Cootie's just his name, mate. That's just his name.
Well, he's not. Stop referring to him as Cootie like he's some long-serving give-it-all warrior. He ain't that, mate.
Yeah, look, I think Cootie is an unbelievable player on his day, and he can be, and he will be for his next club. But I do think, like, on the whole of things, with the quality that he has and how good he can be, you got to say that it has been a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I guess. Considering he came here as Serie A Defender of the Year, and every year season it just seems as though we're waiting for the best of him. I think, what was it? I think last season he was fairly consistent. Did he get our Player of the Year last year? Or was that Van der Ven?
Van der Ven got it, yeah.
But I think he was fairly consistent when he was playing.
Yeah,
Romero. That was probably his best season.
Yeah.
Other than that, like the second season under Conte wasn't great. First season started off pretty dodgy, and then once Conte came in, he was pretty good for 6 months. And then last season pretty consistent. This season pretty inconsistent. So it just feels like we still haven't seen like that season where everyone could like confidently sit here and say he's easily one of the, like, he hasn't had a season where a rival fan can come at you and say, oh, he's rash and a liability, and you can really combat that with what you've seen for Tottenham. That's the truth. You can see it on your day, and obviously we've seen for Argentina, but he just hasn't consistently been that amazing defender.
For the quality that he has, he should be consistently performing as one of the best defenders, centre-backs in the Premier League, and he's just not done that consistently.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is reality. So as much as he's a great, you can see what a great defender is on his day. Like, with 100%, like, we definitely sit here saying he hasn't maybe fulfilled his full potential of what he should be doing.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why we're most likely going to make a decent profit on him. It's because everyone can see what a good defender he is.
Yeah, that's mainly because of what he's done on the international stage as opposed to what he's done for Tottenham.
Yeah. Nathan Newman 799 says, dry your tears, Sim. He's already packing.
Dry your tears, mate.
I'm still holding out hope. This Europa League is coming, and then everyone's going to be crying with happiness, crying with joy. And those tears are going to be tears of joy, not sadness, when we win that Europa League. Clear Wage says, I see what you guys are saying about Ange, but I don't see him walking away from leading a team in the Champions and Premier League if we win Europa. Well, he's obviously flustered and performance haven't been anywhere near good enough. I rate he backs himself to turn it around regardless of what everyone else thinks. Also, would players turn their back on him if we win Europa? Would ENIC want to start their search and be humiliated? There are many avenues through which Ange stays.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's a valid point, to be honest. And I think on Ange, I do think he's a guy that's consistently said, like, I'm not a quitter, I'm not this, I'm not that. So
stubborn enough to stay on, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I have said in the past and recently that I think he could walk if we win the Europa League, but I think he makes a valid point, and maybe he wouldn't walk. I think he'd probably back his ability to stay on and keep building on that success.
I think a lot of that talk about him walking just comes mainly from his body language in press conferences. He just seems like a beaten man a lot of the time, and obviously he responded when he was asked, "Are you going to be here next season?" He says, "Oh, I don't know," and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, then also there have been some reports about potential mutual termination if come the end of the season. But if we actually win that Europa League, like, I'm just trying to think about, like, lifting that trophy the day after we're talking about him walking away. I just can't envisage him being like, I've won this trophy and now I'm going to walk. Like, I think he's bullish enough to try and build on it, kind of thing. And maybe he'll probably say to the club, look, I've won this trophy. If you want me to go, you're going to have to sack me, kind of
However, you know, Ange throughout his career has kind of just only stayed small times.
That is also true.
He's come in, he's done his job, and he's left. Would he see coming in winning the Europa League as doing the job?
But he's usually left when there's been another job on the table. Don't think I can't think of him.
We have
leaving.
heard that Ange does have interest this summer.
Yeah, better job usually though. That's what I'm saying. Is a better job than Tottenham going to be on the table?
Yeah, probably not.
So that's the only side. I think it's maybe a bit different. Jason Lomankin 6722 says, if Spurs sell Porro and replace him with Aina, then that would be a step too far for me. I'll just start supporting my local non-league team and save myself a few bob. And the stress of supporting Spurs, love or hate Porro, he's statistically in the top 3 best right backs in the Premier League.
Yeah, from an attacking perspective, for sure, he's in the top 3 best right backs in the league. And I do think if we were to swap Porro for Aina, that would be a massive step down. It would. There's just no two ways about it. I agree with that.
Albeit Aina's had a brilliant season.
Yeah, he has.
He's a good fullback.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's had a great season, but one season doesn't make you one of the best right backs in the Premier League.
And Mr. Crab, SK Chow 337 says selling Porro would be a disgrace. He's a player that can be the best in his position that would build you that you build title-winning teams around. Aina is an okay fullback.
Yeah, I do think Porro can be in a title-winning team, and I think if Man City were to buy Porro, you would see a much better Pedro Porro. Everyone would start, like, sit up and take notice. Like, when I always going to take it back to Kyle Walker. Like, when Kyle Walker was at Spurs, people kind of thought of him as a very good right back in the Premier League. But then when he went to Man City, everyone says he's probably the best right back of Premier League history.
Absolutely.
If Walker would have stayed at Spurs for all this time, no one would be looking back at Walker being like he's the best Premier League right back of all time.
Not of all time. I think they would be saying he's one of the best in the league, for sure.
Yeah, I'm saying they thought that at his time at Tottenham, but now he's been at Man City.
Yeah, because he's won all the titles.
The best of all time.
Yeah, because he's got all the titles behind him. Wig FYHFG says Solomon is better than Tell.
Ooh.
Solomon is better than Tell. Interesting. Well, Solomon is in great form and got a lot of goals, but they are in the Championship.
Yeah, I think if Tell was in the Championship, I think he'd be smashing it out as well.
Yeah, it's hypothetical, but I also think, I agree. I think it's hard to see him not scoring lots of goals in the Championship with his kind of quality. But is he currently better? With Tell being 19, Solomon's that bit older. I think Tell maybe has a higher ceiling. Is there a case to say Solomon right now is a better player?
I think there is a case for it. I don't see why not. Like, Solomon, like, Tell has never had a run of form that Solomon's having right now in his career.
Albeit it's in the Championship.
Yeah, but I mean, Solomon has got more goal contributions this season, albeit in the Championship, than Tell has in his whole career.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
How many? He's got, what, 15 goal contributions?
I think he's got more than that. I'll tell you right now.
I'm telling you.
Manuel Solomon in the Championship has got 12 assists and 9 goals.
That's 21. So you're saying that's more goal contributions than Tell has in his career?
Yeah. Tell has got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
He's got 20,
17.
20 goal contributions.
Well, there you go.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. That's a quite an interesting stat. But Tell, yeah. So I guess there's a case for it. But would you?
I do want to see Solomon come back for pre-season and seeing if there's anything we can do for him, because I do think he's got some good attributes.
That's fair, but if we're talking about you don't want to the one reason maybe you wouldn't want to sign Tell is because you want somebody who's just ready now to replace Son. Do we think Solomon could be that guy?
Not to replace Son, probably not. No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. But if Solomon can replicate this championship form in the Premier League, then
yeah, that'd be great.
It would be great, but it's a massive question.
Gypsy Catcher 79 says, "I know we are low in the table, but we need to shift the mindset of I'll take him for this or that amount of money. It's slightly negative from the get-go. Sooner back Donnelly or more. Tell so far hasn't done enough. Would love Dibbling. We shouldn't sleep on that if it can be done."
Yeah, it's true, and I think we're all guilty of it, to be honest. Like spending the money like it's our own money. You know what I mean? It's a bit ridiculous. Like I've always said, that you only want to sign them if they're good enough. Like it doesn't really matter about the money.
You know I agree with that.
So I mean, to say we'll sign Tell for 20 million but not 50 million, it just probably means that he's probably not good enough.
Maybe, but I agree. I do kind of agree with that. Actually, you kind of feel if you're saying that, it definitely kind of implies you don't think he's worth 50, which probably means you don't think he's good enough. So, but in my opinion, if it was 50 or nothing, I think I'd probably still do it. I think I really like him. I think he's got such a high ceiling, and I feel like we will probably regret not getting him if we did. We'll probably look back at it like we have on some other wingers who we missed out on because we didn't want to pay the money. But I've also said that I would want to renegotiate that fee, which I do think is possible. But if I'm saying I wouldn't want him at 50, then it makes a point that he said. Then you're kind of saying, do you really believe he's good enough? If you're saying that, I guess that's a fair point.
There's also got to be a reason why no one else is really in for him, apart from I know Frankfurt wanted him, but apart from them.
Or who knows really? But there's only rumours. But we heard Chelsea went for him, United went for him,
but no one actually went for him apart from us.
Well, United did.
Yeah, I guess United did. But why didn't they go for him in the end?
And then there was rumours about Arsenal being in for him, and then something, I don't know, they did a background check or something and they didn't want him. I don't know. I don't know what United, because they didn't want to spend the money, I think, on the loan fee.
We all know how great United's transfer policy has been over recent years.
Exactly. Oz Odell says, "For God's sake, no to Tell. Give our youngsters a chance. He's too lightweight. Another Hill. Guys, get real. Must say no, no, no."
I think it's a bit harsh saying he's another Hill. I think he's much more physically dominant than someone like Hill
for sure
in the Premier League. I disagree with that totally. But where I do have some sympathy for his comment is about our own youngsters and about people like Mikey Moore. Does signing Matisse Tell block that pathway for Mikey Moore?
Well, if he's does it? I think it probably limits his game time a bit because, you could argue if we just... But the thing is, if we're keeping Son next season, then, do we need another one on top of Moore? But then if we are, whoever we're going to sign then is going to be blocking Moore. So is that an excuse?
Yeah, but the difference is that Tell and Moore are kind of similar in age. So they'll be kind of like at the same bracket at the club, both up-and-coming wingers. If we were to sign someone that's like kind of ready-made and then give Moore the kind of sub-option, Moore and Tell would be playing like the same role in the squad. So it's literally taking.
They would no, they wouldn't if it's Son, Tell and Moore rather than Son, experienced winger.
Son, Tell and Moore isn't good enough though. It's like
could potentially be,
huh?
If we believe they're the talents that we think they are.
I just can't see it. Particularly specific as well. If we don't win the Europa League, how are we going to fit all these wingers in?
Yeah, we're not going to be able to. It's going to be too much. We have to win that Europa League to have a big squad.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting because we literally, if you look at the squad,
Yang Min Hyuk as well that nobody's talking about.
Yang, yeah, also playing in the he's probably going to have to go out on loan again.
We've signed all these wingers. Plus, we're going to bring in Tell on top. Plus, we're saying even if we bring Tell, we still need to bring in another winger.
Yeah, potentially. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we'll bring in another left winger if we bring Tell in. I think it will just be Tell, Son, and Moore on the left. I think.
And what about Yang?
He'll have to go on loan.
Okay. So Yang going back out on loan. But he's doing really well in the Championship. So what kind of loan does he go to? Does he go to a Premier League loan, or what does he do?
I think he's doing all right. I wouldn't say really well. I wouldn't say he's shown he hasn't shown he's ready for the Premier League yet.
I feel like he's been getting better as the kind of season progressed.
He's got a couple of goals, 1 assist. I'm saying I'm happy with his progress. I'm just saying I wouldn't sit here and say he's showing he's Premier League ready.
Shitting on
I'm not. I'm just saying like Solomon is showing he's ready for the Premier League.
Yeah.
I don't think Yang is quite showing that at the moment.
That's a fair point. But like, can you go into a season with 6 wingers?
It's a lot. Why? Who's 6? Brennan.
The 3 on the left that you said, more Tell and Son.
And then Odebear Johnson.
And you're saying bring in another right winger.
Yeah. It's a lot.
6 players for 2 positions. That's mad. Like,
it's crazy.
There's no need,
especially if we're not in Champions League.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what we do.
And even if we're in the Champions League, like, if we're in the Europa League, I can understand it more. But Champions League, you want the best players to play in the Champions League, and you want your best players playing in the league.
Well, would have to tell Johnson.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, so you have to make some difficult calls, I guess. Right now, if that's the case, maybe we shouldn't go for Tell. Maybe we should go for someone else. But I don't know. Maybe we should, and maybe he will fulfill his potential, and he'll be that good. It's a tough call.
Risk.
Nathan Newman 799 said this is talking about the Player of the Year. He said this isn't even close. In this shitstorm of a season, Bergvall has stood out, and I hope he sticks around when top clubs come poaching this summer.
Yeah, I completely agree. We need to tie that contract up ASAP. The guy's on 15k a week. Archie Ray's on 75k a week. Bergvall must be looking at Archie's contract and being like, I need to be on that. That's what I deserve right now.
Minimum, probably more, because he's more of a starter. So you're probably going to ask for more than Archie. I wouldn't be surprised. Jimmy Handslip also has his say on the Player of the Year. He says Brandon Austin didn't put a foot wrong,
didn't put a hand wrong either.
Didn't put a hand wrong. Brandon Austin for Player of the Year. Is he in the running?
Yeah, I think he got a 10 in his only game that he played.
How many games he played? 2 or 3?
Wasn't it 2? Newcastle and the Europa League
and
game.
Hoffenheim. Was there not one Europa on top of that?
Don't think so. I think that was it.
I think he played another one on top of it.
Maybe.
I think maybe Elfsborg potentially.
Yeah, I think you might be right actually.
Elfsborg. Pretty decent performances for Brandon.
The dog outside agrees as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, if the dog agrees, Brandon Austin for Player of the Year. Dark Order 7994 says very much doubt it. Ange, I'm not sure what he's referring to. He's very much doubt it. Ange is just clueless, too arrogant for my liking. Once the Europa League tournament finishes, whether we win it or not, he needs to be gone straight after. Levy better start looking for a new manager because Ange can't take us forward. Also, please let's cut out the links with Marco Silva, Frank, and the Bournemouth manager because I also believe they won't take us forward. No disrespect to them. They are doing good for the teams they are managing, but will fail and get sacked just like Nuno did. Me personally, I wouldn't say no to Carlo Ancelotti or Magic Maurizio Pochettino or Inzaghi. They will turn our club into an unstoppable force straight away.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ancelotti, Pochettino and Inzaghi?
I mean, Poch is the one, isn't it? Like, it's always going to go back to Poch. The fans won't ever be kind of like content until Pochettino
until he's had that second crack.
Yeah.
We're never going to let it go. It's always, whatever manager comes in, it's always going to be like, yeah, but I just want Poch back.
We all said it at the time. Not we all said it, but I think me and you definitely said it at the time, saying like, this could be the worst mistake that this club has ever made. And that's what it's come down to.
Yeah. And everyone wants him back. But do you think, what did he say? He said, let's cut out the links to Silva, Frank and the Bournemouth manager.
I think it's a bit harsh. I think they could even be better than Ange, but are they the ones to take us back to the top? Don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know. I don't know if they're just good for their level or their own performance would translate to Tottenham. I'm not sure.
Maybe Ange was just good for his level.
Yeah, it's also true. Jack Lane 3679 said, honestly, this season has been so weird. We dropped a chunk of points early in the season because we don't have enough dynamic forward players in the squad. We were in the top 4 fight, then the injuries piled up at the back in particular. We already had a warning of how bad our second string was against Galatasaray and Coventry. Then all of a sudden, that was our team in our busiest period through November to March. That's why we've been so consistently terrible since then and why we are where we are. Players take time to recover from long injuries, and we've also had Kulusevski, our player of the season, out for a month or so since we've had everyone back. So we still don't look 100% right now, but we seem to be getting back to how we were at the start of the season with some decent yet wasteful performances. I can imagine us beating West Ham, Palace and maybe Brighton at home on the last day, but we may also be managing fitness around Europa League games, and really that's all that matters now, since there are just 5 dead rubbers / glorified Premier League training games. I think this was in response to are we going to get 8 more points between now and the end of the season to be our worst ever team? That was what you were saying.
I mean, there's a lot to digest there in that comment, about 5 paragraphs. But I think I can't imagine us beating West Ham, Palace, and Brighton. I just can't see that. I can see us beating West Ham, but the thing is with West Ham, that's bang in the middle of the Bodo games, isn't it? So you're probably expecting quite a few changes. Palace as well. Like, Palace are a very good side. You know, they played very well against Arsenal last night, got the point. And Brighton, you know, last game of the season, who knows? There's probably all these games are such dead rubbers though, and don't mean anything to anyone. So like they could go either way, but I just can't see Spurs getting another 8 points. No chance. Yeah,
I think it's tall order. In my opinion, even if we didn't have Europa League, it would be a tall order. But with Europa League in that, with the lack of kind of focus on them, it's going to be. I'll be very surprised if we did. Not impossible, but I'll be very surprised if we did.
Yeah.
Especially that Brighton game as well. That could be just after a final, could be just after a win, a final win. I cannot see the players being able to concentrate on that game. We win the final.
Win or lose final.
Yeah, win or lose, to be honest. Drop kick your teacher. Don't do that. Says, guessing people don't realise Bodo Glimt manager Kajan Knutsen has faced Ange before, but with Bodo Glimt, he beat Ange's Celtic 5-1 in the Conference League playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I did know about that. And smashed Ange, to be honest, in a Conference League playoff. That's a bit nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't repeat itself.
Bodo, people are just like glazing over Bodo like they're a nothing team. They got here because they're on merit to get here. They're a very good side, a very attacking side. It's all about putting them away in the first leg.
Yeah.
If we don't put them away in the first leg, I think we're going to go out.
And we're putting, 100% we're leaving it up to a massive chance. And we've seen so many teams struggle there. There's a reason why all those teams struggle there. And I don't think we're going to be any different, to be honest. John MCC Rea 7094 says, don't count your chickens. We can lose to anyone on the day. Bodo are in the semis on merit and as such deserve maximum respect. We are performing so poorly, it's foolish to assume we'll brush them aside. Even though it's a tie, we should be winning with comfort. But we said that about Tamworth in the FA Cup and needed extra time to see them off.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, though, against Tamworth, we did play not our strongest team available, which has got to be said. Timo started and all that.
Yeah, not that it's an excuse, but it's
not
still
an
true.
Excuse, but it's true. And we do seem to be raising our level in the Europa League. We definitely did that against Frankfurt, and I think we will be doing that against Bodo. And that 5-1 loss that Ange had against Bodo might work in our favour a little bit, because it'll make sure that he won't take this game lightly as well.
Make sure we just, because he knows all about them, and he knows that if you don't take them seriously, then you can easily, they can. And they've done that to a number of teams at home this season. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, big up to each and every one of you for getting your comments in. Really enjoyed this stream. So thank you everyone that took part and called in and were in the comments all the way through. But that is it from us today. We'll see you tomorrow for Liverpool previews. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.